Good evening once again. It's the middle of the week. It's hump day. Welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. It's our pre-Thanksgiving sale. Again, it's the middle of the week. I hear my voice coming back.
Wow.
Oh, welcome
I
everybody.
thought it was me.
No, I think it was Michael. Speaking of, we got Michael, the Anti-Trekker, our resident Wednesday guest. How you doing, good sir?
I am excited. Hey, I broke 10,000 subs on my channel this last week, so awesome there. So 10,000 people can see past the turd.
Well, congratulations on that.
Finally.
Yes.
Hopefully we
Subscribe
help
to
you.
Anti-Trekkers, one of my favorite channels.
And with us tonight is the ma'am, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. Rob said.
It's a ma'am.
Oops, and then I ended up taking her out instead of making her big.
It's okay, I don't make her fun anyway.
The queen of YouTube.
Subscribe or else.
One bad bitch. It's Mecca. I ain't going through all that shit. I'm sorry. It's been a long week. Been a long day. We love you, Mecca.
Any title you can attach to my name, just put it there. I will accept it.
Okay. Official.
I'm dyslexic, so when I see the word title, I see something else.
Yeah.
Leader of Midnight's Edge and the Phantom Menace. How about that?
Yes.
There we go. All right. And Anti-Trekker, you were just cheerleading Anti-Trekker there too. So
well, of course, because I'm
keep removing her from the stream. My mouse is like all jumpy all over the place. Here, let me turn it back on and turn it off. That usually helps.
You okay, man? I mean, I know you don't give a crap.
My mouse being an ass. I probably need to plug it in. It's one of those chargeable ones, and it's like jumping all over the place on me. Plus, I've got my wristband for my carpal tunnel on. So, yeah, I'm sure I'm one of a combination of all those things.
Remember, if you want quality, don't bother with Midnight's Edge After Dark.
That's right. We are definitely the shit end of the stick. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We got Captain Robert April in the chat. How you doing, sir? Hopefully you're feeling better. Matt G, Clone Captain Blasto, and a few other regulars. Rosetta gave us a $5 super chat right off the bat.
Ka-ching.
Ka-ching. Fandom for life will be on other stream, but you guys are in my heart forever. Stay strong, united fandom. Love my toxic men, babies.
And let me say one quick thing to Captain Robert April, because he was saying how he's hovering about 1,180 subs. First of all, I totally feel you. I was a month ago. I was at about 8,000 subs. A year ago, I was at 7,000 subs. I was completely stagnant for an entire year and putting out content constantly, live streaming 6 days a week, doing everything I can and just nothing. But then every now and then you just catch that algorithm and you get a bump. And
for what it's worth, you probably gained more subs in the last year, Captain Robert April, than Midnight's Edge After Dark has. But anyway, we're like the misfit toys on the Forgotten Island.
YouTube just punishes live streaming, I think. That has to be it.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big part of it. We've been slacking on getting some of the other videos out there, but hopefully that will change. We got the holiday coming up. I gave Rob an idea for a sequel to the Throwdown at Toontown, so maybe we'll get something there. And I got to start doing some more stuff too when I get the time here. Maybe I'll quit my other job so I can do more of that. We'll see. Maybe it's just the time for that to end. Either way, I hope everybody's enjoying the weather out there in America. It's a hell of a week.
What about the rest of the world?
The rest of the world can.
The rest of the world can suck it.
Isn't Andre like the main dude, and he's not like from America? I'm just saying.
We're kidding, of course.
Andre, if you need a new guy to head up everything, I'm available, just so you know. And I don't diss everybody.
Australian and Canadian and UK presence, so of course we do love everybody from.
Well, you were just saying you don't care.
Except for you, Anti-Trekker. I didn't say that. Mecca said that. We're gonna have one more. Thanks for supporting me, Tom. Of course.
I just wanted a chance to use my slide whistle. I just wanted a chance to use it. You guys know I don't mean it.
Slide whistle, the musical instrument of erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
Probably not as good as the Amsterdonians. So there you go. No. If we're talking about good ways. Anyway, Andre's told me that because I was joking about all you walk through the casino in Vegas and every 20 steps you run into a hooker. He's like, shit, you ain't seen nothing till you see the women over here and like in Amsterdam and stuff like that. I'm like, I bet.
Mhm.
It's like a world of difference, I'm sure.
I would love to hear, I would pay real money to listen with Andre's incredible voice, to just listen to him describe walking down the street and looking at all the hookers. I just want to picture that.
First of all, he probably wouldn't call them hookers.
Walk down the street, I see.
He just called them girls. So he's just like, if you think the girls over there are anything, wait till you see some of the girls over here are like in Amsterdam. They would blow your mind.
Oh yeah, the Vegas hookers they just look like chicks you just find wandering around at Walmart.
Most of the ones in the casino are like, okay, you've got several levels I've noticed as I've gone through different casinos, different places.
Yes.
Like Fremont Street, that's your low level. You're going to catch something no matter what you wear.
Mm-hmm.
The casinos are a little higher level. Then there's the ones you actually have to call. And those are the expensive ones. If you go to the actual legal whorehouses, those are really expensive.
Oh yeah, because sometimes you get like the penthouse pets and sometimes you get those girls who go out and do like a month out at the brothel too.
Well, short story long, yeah. Jesse and I looked into a lot of that stuff, and we're just like, holy cow. Couldn't believe it.
Fremont Street.
Oh, yeah, Fremont Street right there, Annie Trekker.
No, that's Lore Reloaded right there.
He would make a great living on Fremont Street.
Fremont Street, just not as much lights. More lights on Fremont Street. Even in the middle of the night, it looks like the daytime. They have I'm sure anybody who's been there talking about. But yeah, at night they've got lights all along that road, and it looks like it's daylight.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the Fremont Street experience. They have that overhead light show, basically, which I didn't get to go back to. I haven't seen that in a while, but yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Wow,
yeah,
this is like the worst conversation we've ever had, isn't it?
Probably, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we're exploiting Lore Reloaded for being a hooker or something.
Christmas has come very early.
That's what, Mecca, that's what happened to him after you rejected him.
I'm sorry.
I play no part in this.
So you may not know about this, Tom, but Lore Reloaded proposed to Mecca during one of her live streams.
Oh, I know. I've heard several times.
And so she rejected him, and that was the result. He basically now walks the streets looking for love.
Looking for nub in all the wrong paces. Looking for nub.
And for $1.98, you can have some love.
For $1.98, that's a bargain.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Get that out of my head. I can't even scratch the inside of my eyeballs out now. Thank you. But otherwise, it's been like early Christmas all week. The Fandom Menace has been just vindicated left and right this week. First, they had to admit to the test screenings. Now, granted, they weren't flat out quote unquote test screenings. They were friends and family. But as we've said a million times, if you're getting word that test screening sucks from friends and family, that's bad.
Yeah,
those
are a bad sign.
Keep their mouths shut. Okay. And then we also have had the vindication and learning that they just finished filming on Sunday. I don't know if you heard about this, Michael.
Yeah, well, I read the article, the Esquire article with I don't know if you saw, I sent it to you, that wonderful misspelling in the middle of an article from Esquire.
Oh, I hate the layout. Anyway.
Was it a misspelling, or was it just JJ trying to be clever by saying something? Because
because it was, the question was about Start Wars.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. I missed that one. I must have missed that one. But I was reading off a teeny tiny screen when I read it.
Yeah, I was as soon as I saw that, I was busting up laughing, because it's like, it's one thing if some little blogger can't spell everything right, but Esquire freaking magazine puts out an article and misspells Star Wars.
Yeah, Matt Miller's just he's just a toxic man baby troll is what he is, in my opinion. Allegedly.
So, but I don't know. Looking at like those commercial spots that came out, I am just really, really not confident that this is going to be a good movie.
But they can fly now.
Oh God, that was so bad. I mean, you know what it felt like? It felt like second tier attempts at trying to do Marvel humor. But it wasn't. The problem is that the reason that Marvel humor works is because you expect Iron Man to say something like that. You
Guess
don't. What?
Go ahead. No, finish.
Well, you don't expect to hear Poe and Finn and C-3PO saying those things. And so it completely pulls you out because they're acting out of character. Those commercials were just horrific. They make me think that this is going to be really bad. And they still have the one thing that bugs me more. And I know this probably sounds stupid to a lot of people, but the one thing that still bugs me more than just about anything else about the sequel trilogy is the fact that Rey, she looks like this. She is always pissed off. How the hell is this a Jedi?
Because hate leads to blasters.
Yeah, it's like, anger leads to blasters. Blasters lead to tranquility. I don't know what. I mean, what?
Tranquility leads to flying stormtroopers.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Every time I see Rey's angry face, I'm thinking, why? Who came up with this crap? Because this makes absolutely no sense that Rey is always this pissed off.
She makes the same face when she's smiling or pooping.
Well, pooping I could believe. I don't know about smiling. That does look like that's an angry poop face.
Well, it's better than being her little confused, disinterested little cry face that she always has.
Well, did you hear her little rap?
Oh, I'm working on editing that one together now. Yeah, Rob and I reacted to that on my stream the other night. It's bad. It's bad.
Okay, bad. we got a super chat here.
Ka-ching.
$2 from Nelson Sharita. $1.99 love from Mecca. I think it's for Mecca.
Oh, thank you so much.
Anyway, we'll take it. Anyway. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh, hello, Sporking News. Scott's in the chat. We also had Mary in there earlier. I don't know if she had to scooch or not, but anyway, yeah, let's get to this damn article. Because this was fucking hilarious. After all the things I just brought up, right? We get, and the other thing that was funny, we'll get into the next story too. I was right about, but yeah, anyway, that's the script business. J.J. Abrams had officially been done with Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker for a matter of hours when I talked to him by phone 25 days out from the release of the 9th film in 4 decades of development of the most beloved franchise, sci-fi franchise of all time. We chatted about the culture of toxic fandom surrounding Star Wars, the return of Knights of Ren in the latest trailer, and what he thinks of current fan obsession with Baby Yoda. Esquire this morning, everyone seems to be talking about the return of the Knights of Ren in the new trailer. Curious, after teasing them in The Force Awakens, why save them and build anticipation for this movie? Well, Ryan was a dumb shit and didn't use them in his movie and totally forgot about. Well, wait, that's not the right answer. Sorry.
Yeah, you're not supposed to tell the truth. You have to say what.
They're characters that when they come up with them in Force Awakens, I had a very brief sighting of them, and it was something that we had a lot of ideas, sort of further adventures with them, backstory, you know, and all sorts of things that were not the focus of the central story and never made it into the movie. And episode VIII, The Last Jedi, didn't address that at all. And it just allowed for us to bring them back in. Yeah, see, that's what I said. Ryan Johnson forgot about them. I mean, they're the best kept, more mysterious than familiar. Wait, that they're best kept, more mysterious than familiar. Okay. Gotcha. I misread that at first, which is just to say there aren't going to be a lot of scenes with them taking off their masks or hanging out and eating sandwiches. Nobody expected that, but it felt like I definitely wanted to see more of them than we had.
Well, you know, you're forgetting about all those scenes in the original trilogy with the stormtroopers hanging around, taking off their masks and eating sandwiches.
Well, you know, you'll have that. And this is what pissed me off about The Last Jedi and the whole thing with Luke trying to kill his nephew and all that shit. It was clearly set up in The Force Awakens that the Knights of Ren either inducted Kylo into their ranks, or that is the other students, and Kylo has turned them. I mean, it's obviously one of those things, and they obviously destroyed Luke's temple or whatever, and then they twist that shit around in Rian Johnson's version. It's like, well, where did the Knights of Ren go? You know, what was that whole thing they showed in the first movie about, you know?
Well, Rian Johnson had to throw it out and subvert our expectations. So,
which he certainly did.
Well, unfortunately, his new movie is doing too well. Otherwise, he'd be, you know, redirecting traffic. But anyway, I know you just finished the movie as of last night, but has anyone seen the finished product yet? Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, not the final. No, I mean, the truth is I have not even gotten to the final product. The way it worked is you mix the mix and you go back and forth between two different places, like you're doing the picture and the color correction place. You're doing the sound in a mixing stage, blah, blah, blah. We all know this crap. But you know what?
Yeah, he's doing
have this shit done months before the movies comes out.
Well, what he's saying, I mean, I can understand. I mean, and here's where I'm going to sound a little bit like Mr. Burnett from last week. But yes, I get it as far as the filmmaking process. Just because they finished making the movie yesterday doesn't mean that he could watch the final product the minute it's finished being filmed. But that being said, like Mecca was starting to say, they should have been done with this at least a month ago.
Yes.
Months. Plural.
Well, typically, I mean, because with a big tentpole film, you're doing reshoots and usually like 2-3 months out, you're locked in.
Well, it used to be more than that. A lot more than that, because you used to have time for CGI effects and 3D transfer.
Right, but now that's not as big a deal.
It doesn't take as long now, but this is still up to the wire, man. I mean, I've never seen a movie like this.
Oh, I have. The absolute worst that I know of personally is Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
That doesn't count. That was before CGI.
Right, but Star Trek: The Motion
all that shit done in camera, and yes, those special effects took time, and yeah, they released it before the movie was finished. That is true. Mm-hmm. But in this day and age, when you generally have to have the movie done within 6 months or better before the movie's set to be released, that's why these movies keep getting pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kong, like Sonic,
Wonder Woman.
I mean, this is going to be a fucking mess.
It is, because from what I read in this article, when I read it the other night, it seems like he's watched like 20-minute snippets here and there, or 5-minute snippets, like watching a lot of cool shots that don't really join together. And yeah, I've seen everything that we're putting in the movie, but I haven't sat down and watched it from beginning to end as a final product, and neither has a test audience at this point with this cut of the film. But what the crap are we getting? What the crap are we getting?
We're getting the same thing we've been getting, Mecca, and that's not just Star Wars, unfortunately. It's Hollywood's mentality right now is no longer about a narrative that you're then creating a world and putting this narrative and watching the characters go through it. No, they're putting together set pieces, events, scenes, and then they're just kind of, oh, we need something to string them together.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the point of a movie nowadays, is not the story of the movie. The point of the movie is the cool action sequence. And that's why when a movie like Joker comes along, people flock to it, because it's not just about individual scenes. It is an overall narrative, and it's a damn good one. That's why people, for the most part, really like the Marvel movies, because while there is the big action sequences, the narrative is what's carried it. And but with Star Wars, it's just scenes. It's nothing more than, hey, here's a lightsaber fight. Hey, here's a space battle. Hey, here's a bar fight. Okay, now we need a story to string it together.
Mm-hmm. That's why we get the fuel supply and whatever this crap is about. Oh, I don't even know. Like, they just rehashed, Star Wars, and I don't call it New Hope. I still call it Star Wars. They're rehashing the original trilogy again, and that's what they're going to do this time. This is the ADHD storytelling.
Yeah. Well, and I was just going to say, this is how JJ does this.
Mm-hmm.
His writers and go, I want to do this big set piece. I want to do that big set piece. And I want to do that set piece. Just whatever you need to do to get me there, do it.
But don't forget, we now have flying stormtroopers.
Well, yeah, fuck that. Anyway, we'll get to that. Thomas Potts. First super chat. Tom, have you won Turkestan presidency? I didn't know I was running. Thank you for the $1.99. No. Am I running for the president of Turkestan without knowing it?
Thomas is doing anything he can to get me out as the Turkestani president. So.
I can't run for president of Turkestan. I got caught trying to get dirt on Michael. Anyway, Matt G, $2. Wouldn't you be pissed if you were in these films? Well, speaking of, we'll get to that when it comes to Boyega for sure. He's the next story. Anyway, we do have, I think, one more super chat here. Another one from Nelson Sharia. Thank you so much. You guys don't understand how much we appreciate these super chats. You do keep the lights on. YouTube don't give us crap anymore, so we do appreciate them very much. I am sure Knights of Ren will be great, like Phasma. Yeah, right? And she's coming back, isn't she?
Oh, God.
Bullshit that she didn't really die.
Again?
Well, and here's the other thing I was going to say. You want to know why they were shooting this late, Michael?
Right.
Is because I believe all those leaks. I think those were all true, and they're like, fuck.
Yeah.
So they're trying to change things up so that they could be wrong.
Yeah.
Change it up so we're wrong. Yeah.
That's part of it, of course, but the other part is, well, of course they can't have a movie come out that everybody already knows how it ends. And
although I will say, if Phasma does show up and then they kill her a third time, I will have to really, really struggle to not walk out of the theater.
Honestly, if she does come back, it's because JJ was pissed that Ryan killed her in the first place, because that was like one of his big characters.
This is just. I'm gonna laugh out loud if they bring Phasma back. That would be absolutely hilarious. And we've already got Spaceballs and Star Wars now with this. Oh, they fly now. They fly now.
Right. Well, I mean, she has a suit on, whatever. They might find a way to bring her back, but I could be completely wrong too. That could have just been a bad rumor I heard early on. So do take that with a big old grain of salt. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Esquire asks, you've talked about how you were surprised by Rian Johnson's constant subversion of expectation in The Last Jedi. From your perspective, what was it like following that movie, and what he changed into the narrative, and how did that change your approach to making Rise of Skywalker? There were some choices that made things a bit more fun for us because, for example, Ryan didn't have the whole group collaborative adventure of it together. What?
He was eating
what he's trying to say. And that was really fun to get to tell the story group, the droids, out on the breakneck, crazy, desperate adventure. The things you probably should have done since the start. But anyway, the choices that he made for me were as a fan, as a reader of the script, a fan of this, a fan of Star Wars. Dude, this guy talks funny. It was just
he talks about as well as he writes.
Yeah, Take That was so about surprising the viewer. It was just really entertaining because it was. He's just talking a bunch of fucking nonsense words in circles.
Yep.
It got to surprise me nearly every time. So I loved it for that. You mean they didn't let you read his fucking script before they went forward with this?
No.
Is that what he's kind of saying here?
Yeah, kind of. That's kind of what I thought.
Well, we knew that was coming.
My fucking God. Over the last couple of years since The Last Jedi came out, I've been writing a lot about response to the movie and some of the toxic fandom around Star Wars in this new era. Bullshit. Anyway, and there's some fans who take issue with the filmmaking, other fans who take issue with some of the more progressive themes.
No.
Response to Star Wars. This is what
Star Wars.
About. Star Wars movies that change in modern era compared to maybe the prequel series or how fans originally responded to them.
Hey, maybe that's code. Maybe that whole Star Wars is thing because they were intentionally trying to piss people off. So instead of Star Wars, it was called Start Wars.
Start shit.
Yeah, and also this whole, it's these more progressive things. Well, first off, you're not being progressive by turning a bunch of characters into racial stereotypes and tokens. Second off, these are aliens. You don't need that. And third off, Baby Yoda's better than every fucking character in this whole trilogy.
Yeah, and George Lucas is the only one who can get away with that. Anyway, I think that the bigger question is...
We're gonna go down there.
How has everything changed the reaction to Star Wars and the increased attacks, the increased negativity, the Fandom Menace, as they call it? There it is, folks.
Yep.
Confirmation that JJ is more than aware of us. Disney is more than aware of us. And we have finally been what's the word I'm looking for?
Acknowledged.
Thank you so very much, Michael. My brain's not working.
Obviously.
Oh, of course it's never working. This is not unique to Star Wars, obviously. And I think we live in a time where if you're not being divisive, if you're not creating something that's adverse, that it's averse, quick bait. Okay. Sometimes you don't quite feel like you're playing the game. I always love Star Wars because it's got a huge heart. Did I always believe in and agree with every single thing that happened in every movie, whether it was the prequels or the original trilogy? No. But do I love Star Wars? Yes.
What was there to disagree with in the prior Star Wars film?
I don't know. I hope, and I'm sure naively, we can return to a time where we give things a bit more latitude. We don't have to agree with every single thing to love something. I don't know anyone who has a spouse or partner or any family member or any friend who loves and agree with every single thing that person is and does. We have to return, I think, to nuance and acceptance. I didn't know you knew that word, JJ. So I feel like as a Star Wars fan, do I love every single thing about each of the movies? No, but do I love Star Wars? Hell yes, I do.
Basically, shut up and eat the shit we're shoveling at you and stop complaining, you toxic man babies, is what he's saying.
What's worse is he just described the Fandom Menace.
Yep.
Without even realizing it.
Yep.
Right. And that's the thing. Well, that's the fundamental misunderstanding. They genuinely, and this is where, and people like this Esquire reporter just feeds into the frenzy where they keep saying how the Fandom Menace is this toxic group of people that are upset because they're not good progressives like us. That's what they're basically saying. And they couldn't be further from the truth because people in the Fandom Menace are left and right and center. It's not a leftist or right-wing thing. It's basically that you guys are crapping on our franchises. And yes, the political stuff is part of it, but that's not even all of it. I mean, I would dare say when I saw The Last Jedi, I was more pissed off about Luke tossing the lightsaber and being a complete and utter, coward than I was about the pro-feminist crap. Because they absolutely ruined one of my absolute favorite characters of all time for no reason whatsoever. I mean, there really was no reason to ruin Luke.
No.
Now, if I didn't care for Admiral Holdo, but I would say that if Luke was a badass, I could have forgiven Admiral Holdo. However, if Admiral Holdo was replaced by Admiral Akbar and Luke was still the way he was, I would not be forgiving the film.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of stuff that they did wrong, and to add insult to injury, they literally insulted us. That's the problem.
Well, and they don't understand why we're pissed off in the first place. They just know we're pissed off.
It's like, well, maybe Pablo Hidalgo could have not, called me Mecha Troll Face, and maybe maybe these people could have not engaged with the audience and not attacked the fans, and maybe these media outlets could stop lying to these directors and producers who then turn around and blame us because we want to buy their shit. It's the media that's the enemy. It's the people like Esquire and Matt effing Miller who are the ones who are the actual problem here, because they're the ones. Well, yeah, Tom remembers we had a certain conversation with somebody inside Hollywood where it really felt to me like the media was feeding them one thing and then feeding the article something else, and it's like, well, that's the common enemy here. That's a common enemy because it was never a problem until YouTubers and everybody else started getting more clicks for the same stuff.
Yeah, that's part of it. We got a couple super chats here. Deranged lunatic coming through. $2. I hope everyone has a good and safe Thanksgiving. That's right. No blowing up turkeys. Hopefully nobody's turkeys blow up on them, and we'll be all right. Loquacious Primate, $2. Since they gave the runtime, is the editing done? Well, that just means they have a cut locked. Yeah, they may even they've been displaying a running time forever, folks. Guess what? The running time was wrong for Rambo too. So they don't really ever know. They just give them kind of like a rough idea. They never know until the movie actually comes out anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, to go back to what Michael was saying before, yeah, the window for when a movie has to be done has shrunk because of the age of digital in a lot of ways, and the way these movies are even distributed now. You used to have to do prints and all that kind of stuff. They don't have to do that now, but still, there's a lot that needs to be done to this movie in just under a month. I don't understand how they're going to pull it off. It's just crazy. But anyway,
they have nearly infinite resources, so they can.
Well, that's the stit, though. Are they going to make that money back? And we'll get to that too eventually here. Rosetta Allen, $2. Well, I think I already said it. They're predicting it's going to make 175 to 200 million its opening weekend, which I think is less than what Last Jedi made. Fandom Menace, we owned them. That's right. Totally. $2 from Captain Hare, our good friend. Mecca called the cops and Rob's in the drunk tank. Probably. I don't know. I couldn't come up with any random.
So what are they saying that the opening weekend is 175 to 200?
To 200. That's a big gap, though.
Okay.
The DCV Titan, Canadian $5. The Knights of Ren were even in the Force Awakens art book or one of them books, then weren't mentioned for the whole movie. Why bother bringing them back?
Exactly. Well, nobody cared about the Knights of Ren.
Well, I did until I realized they didn't have nothing to do with nothing.
Yeah, that's true. That was the biggest problem with Last Jedi for me, is that it just made me not care about the next movie. You didn't do your job. The trailer did its job and made me want to watch The Last Jedi, but then nothing.
Well, and the fact that they're going through all this trouble, the fact that they're still shooting, the fact that all this is just the way it is, and the fact that he has to acknowledge that we exist goes to show how much of an impact we've actually had. And to those out there who are saying we aren't nothing but just a little, hate group that's loud and obnoxious but doesn't have very many numbers. Obviously, we're big enough to get the attention of Disney and J.J. Abrams.
Mm-hmm. We're a consumer advocacy group. That's what we are. We're consumer advocates trying to get quality entertainment. If you're going to shell out your hard-earned dollars, you don't want to shell out for garbage, for a dumpster fire, unless that's your sort of entertainment and you enjoy it. But for the most of us in the Fandom Menace, we want more quality. We want something better when we're spending our money, and we don't want to be insulted and name-called and bullied and have the media try and destroy our livelihoods in some cases, just for being a fan advocacy group or consumer advocacy group. That's all it is. And I'm tired of this whole, oh, you're toxic, you're this or that, you're a troll group. No. We're consumer advocates fighting for your entertainment. They should be thanking us, because the more people who watch their stuff and like their stuff, the more money they're going to make. They should work with us, but they're not very smart.
Well, because they're deluding themselves into thinking that the reason we don't like what they're doing is superficial. It's because there's a woman. It's because there's a black guy. It's because they have a gay character or whatever.
I'm insulted for Finn. I mean, I really liked his character in The Force Awakens, and then they did jack crap with him in the second movie. I'm like, wait, what about Finn and Phasma? Oh, that's nothing. And then it got to oh, this is gonna be good, and then nothing.
Yeah, Finn, I really liked Finn in The Force Awakens. He was actually an interesting concept. I like the fact that he thought he was the hero of the story, but wasn't. But
should have been. He really should have been.
Well, but you see, here's what I was kind of hoping to see, was to find out that Finn really, maybe not to the level of Rey, but was Force sensitive. So maybe he could start training. And that would be kind of a cool take on it, to have a stormtrooper who becomes a Jedi. I was saying, what an arc would that be? But instead, in the second one, he was just, oh, look, he's the guy with the leaking bag. Oh, look, he's the guy that Rose Tico needs to save. And
Yep. Yeah, I don't like it when they just turn these characters into comic relief, and that's, or just nothing. That was such a wasted opportunity. Just like getting the band back together, every little part of this is wasted opportunity.
Well, don't worry. They're gonna bring in Lando and kill him. So,
oh, Lord, God.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's quickly get through the rest of this crap. On the other hand, it seems like fans are pretty universally love Baby Yoda. I'm curious your thoughts on the little guy. look, I think the fun of telling stories in this galaxy is that you get to take things that are familiar and you get to adjust them, augment them. Yeah, you're good at that. Comment on them, continue them. It's a world that is looking to be expanded. I mean, the original movies did the most remarkable thing in referencing the Clone Wars and the Empire and the Senate and the Old Wars and never showing any of these things. Okay. But we got to see the Empire. I don't know what the fuck that's all about. The painting that was created, fuck this. I'm so sick of James.
Yeah, there's nothing else in that article. I don't think.
Yeah, there's nothing else here. This is just boring. Okay, so fuck you.
And the funny thing is they're doing the opposite there. It's like, you know why Baby Yoda is so freaking popular? Because Baby Yoda is so freaking cute. It really is that simple. Baby Yoda is adorable. It's not some deep, I wonder what Yoda, because you know what, most and Baby Yoda is really what appeals to the normies more than any other thing that we've seen in recent Star Wars, because they're like, oh, look at that. Now, for me, I look at Baby Yoda, not only is Baby Yoda adorable, but unlike the Porgs, Baby Yoda actually serves the story. And so I'm good with that. Where the Porgs, I thought the Porgs were cute, but pointless.
They serve no purpose at all.
Right. The Porgs were just there to look cute and sell toys. Baby Yoda is actually a very important part of the story so far, The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't think that people are sitting there cerebrally contemplating the ramifications of an infant of Yoda's species. Some of the fans are, of course, wondering, is this related to Yoda or something like that? But honestly, I think that Baby Yoda is just so, perfect level of cuteness.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love him.
Perfect level of cuteness.
Yes.
It kicks in that parental instinct, and you love to see the Daddy Lorian, taking care of this baby and making sure nothing happens to the baby, and that's appealing to both men and women. Anita Sarkeesian. But anyway.
Exactly. Well,
by the way, Brian said, "Will we see Baby Yoda eat a porg?" I would love to see Baby Yoda eat a porg.
I'm sure he will.
That frog scene was hilarious. So I would love to see
him eating more shit that's even bigger than he is.
I wonder if the frog was kind of an insult to Ethan Van Sciver, though.
I think Baby Yoda is like the nibbler of the Star Wars universe.
Frogs are always getting ate in the Star Wars universe, or I would say maybe you're onto something.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, there was that one in Return of the Jedi that Jabba eats, and then
that's true. Oh, it's so cute. I do love the little Baby Yoda. He's a sweetie.
There was a bunch of those things hanging in episode 1 too, because they're not like a frog. They're like those weird looking frogs, I think, like in episode 1. Yeah.
But you say I'd like to see Baby Yoda, just become an absolute nibbler. So we're like, they're facing down with another one of those mud horns, and Baby Yoda just eats it whole.
Or at least just breaks off the horn and eats it or something.
Yeah. And then crafts out a piece of dark matter, and they can stick it in the fuel tank.
And then they solved the problem of The Last Jedi, which was they needed fuel.
Oh, we need that's why Yoda was so important. You see, it's not the midi-chlorians, it's his crapping out dark matter that makes him important.
Eat it, Luke did.
How you make dark matter eating food of that kind?
I pooped in the soup.
See, I do like that they made Baby Yoda. He's kind of a shit. He's like a little shit, and I like that.
I know. I have to make him talk and stuff, and I hope he's just as sassy as Yoda is.
Yes. Well, hopefully he's just being quiet. Like,
that's what I'm thinking,
just to fuck with the guy. Like, yes. But yeah, I have to comment. You mentioned Anita Sarkeesian. I mean, I hate making videos and calling attention to the bitch anymore, but she had this complaint where she's like, oh, women, there's nothing for women in The Mandalorian, despite all these female characters, et cetera, et cetera. Baby Yoda is for women, you stupid woman. Like, are you that much of a heartless see you next Tuesday that you can't see that little Baby Yoda face and go, oh, he's so cute, though, and he's so sweet, and he's funny?
Mecca, the answer to that question
is yes.
Sorry.
She's just so stupid. She hasn't realized she was aborted 20 years ago.
She was. I mean, that's the thing. Like, and I know you and I both responded to her on Twitter, but that whole thing where there's not a single speaking part for a woman in the first episode. It's like, hello, The Klan is a matriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is your problem? You know,
Her problem is she's too stupid to watch the show and feels the need to be relevant by complaining about it, basically. Because she knows that her crazy little stupid cult of outrage people, their time is almost coming to an end in Hollywood, and that Hollywood's losing a lot of money. You know, so Hollywood's gonna stop listening to people like her, and she's irrelevant. She's the rat trying to stay afloat.
Well, what's funny is we've already covered this story, but she sits there and bitched, 3,000 people threw a fit because somebody had an opinion.
No, it's because some Democrat had a wrong opinion.
Isn't karma a bitch that people have an opinion that doesn't line up with yours?
The whole problem with her is that she had the wrong opinion and is too stupid to acknowledge it. See,
right.
If she would be one little bit more likable, if she said, "Oops, I'm sorry, I mistook the show," you know, something like I would do. Something like I would do if I made a mistake and got outraged over something and I was wrong. Then, you know, like the EA battle for or whatever the new Star Wars game. I'm like, I don't want it's got loot boxes. People are like, oh, it doesn't have loot boxes. You're wrong. And I'm like, well, yeah, but still, okay. It doesn't have the loot boxes. Great. I don't think it's for me though. But you know, I was wrong about that. And that's what an intelligent person does, assuming I'm intelligent enough to understand that. But you know, at least have some. Instead of going on the attack over everything, admit you're wrong and shut the crap up, Anita. Nobody likes you because you were a royal bitch. In my opinion, you know, allegedly.
In my opinion.
I know. As a matter of fact.
The opinions expressed by Mecca are not necessarily the opinions of Midnight Day.
Yeah, they probably call her much worse things.
Well, what's funny is we heard about this script that got put on eBay. That's been like the talk of the town since the other part of JJ's interview from the other day that everybody thought was kind of hilarious. And I said it and I called it and predicted it. I said, I bet you $5 it was John Boyega, because JJ was just dying to say who it was. And I think it was a shot at Boyega for talking so much shit lately.
Yep. Yep.
But Boyega just fessed up.
Yeah, because he's cool like that.
So I thought this was kind of funny. And speaking of, I mean, I think the Fandom Menace has kind of come around and felt sorry for this guy. He's really gotten the shit end of the stick with this trilogy. He's acknowledged the fact that his character has been given nothing to work with.
Right.
I mean,
I really feel bad because Finn is so charismatic in The Force Awakens. It's so disappointing to see him reduced to just the guy that says stupid things.
Well, he's the only one who's a unique character we've never seen before.
Right. We've never gotten into the mind of a stormtrooper. And it's like, wow, what a concept. And
how much more useful he could have been, how much his character could have been used.
Right. And that's
better.
exactly like think about all the, you know, how he could have all the inside information on how First Order equipment works, what their tactics are, all that. He could be.
One of the parts that bothered me of The Force Awakens was how quickly they just accepted him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but they should have that first whole movie, they shouldn't have trusted him until they got him into Starkiller Base. Then at that point, when everything at the end, then you could have had that moment, that redemption moment with him where, you know, Leia or whoever goes, I'm sorry, we ever doubted you. If it wasn't for you, we could have never done this.
Right.
You know, making the character fucking mean something.
Mm-hmm. But no, they just had to. They just didn't so much. This whole trilogy has been about just wasted opportunity. It's like they have a good idea and then they just crap all over it. It's like they just crap their pants instead. Like no, you are almost there. You didn't have to.
And has nothing to do with the race or gender of any of the characters.
No, why else would we be saying we want more Finn? Finn got crap.
And Bush and Rio Cat says what they never touched on was how Finn break the stormtrooper training. Well, I know from the original script I read, Finn was not a good stormtrooper.
Right, he was kind of a F up. He was constantly.
Yeah, there was this whole bit and a whole bunch of shit's cut out about him and his superior. There's like a small smidgen of it left in the movie, but it was like he was like on, you know, like double probation, like the guys in there. You know, he's like, that's why he was on sanitation. That was the whole thing. The reason he was in sanitation is because he was a fuck up.
Exactly. Well, and that's the other thing about it that didn't make sense a whole lot, because Phasma, Phasma didn't even remember him. Like that, they could have just tweaked that a little bit more, and she could have they could have had a little bit more of a backstory. Like that was
right.
The stormtrooper she was training to be her next.
That killed or whatever was like covering for him. That was another script.
Right.
So
think about this: when Phasma and Finn faced off in The Last Jedi, as disappointing as that whole scene was, if they had actually built up this relationship where Phasma was constantly trying to get Finn to be satisfactory as a trooper and failing, and now she's sitting there looking at him going, oh, you mean I got to fight you, the worst student I ever had? No problem. And then Finn surprises her,
Well, the whole bit with her, look, that one guy, the gun thing in The Force Awakens has to do with that other scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it was at like one of their shooting ranges or something like that, and he couldn't hit the target or whatever, and they were giving him shit, and then something, I can't remember what else happened, but then like there was some training session and he didn't shoot or something or other. That's what it was all about. I mean, they tied it into whatever scene it was in The Force Awakens, but I remember the script, it was much different. The original script anyway. Because like he was trying to get away because he didn't like it there and the way he was being treated and all that kind of shit. And I think they even alluded to him being kidnapped at birth or whatever. Because like he doesn't know who his parents or anything like that is or whatever.
I think Lando's his dad, and it's going to turn out that Lando sold him.
I was thinking that until they had that other new character in the movie, and everybody's saying that's his daughter. So who knows?
So that's Finn's sister. Yeah, Dad never wanted a boy.
Then maybe you should have built up this character a little bit more so people gave a shit. And it's not, and again, I reiterate, it's not John Boyega's fault. I know he's a good actor. I love him in Attack the Block.
I liked Attack the Block. Yeah. Yeah, he was good in that. He was fine. I just don't know. I just don't know why they have to push this. They love to say, oh, we're all for diversity. Well, every single lead character you have is a generic brown-haired white girl with no expression, shape, or personality. You're so into diversity. Maybe have the black guy be the lead.
You know what I figured out the other day, that part of the problem with a lot of these women are, especially women like Brie. A lot of women still think they're a minority for some reason. I don't understand this. If you're a white woman, how can you consider yourself a minority still?
I don't know.
It's a victim mentality. It's the idea that if there's anything you can't do, then that means you're being oppressed. And I'm sorry, there are things
white women have had it easier than most people outside of, I get it, job equality, but that's in the workforce. It's been pretty equal for many, many years. Hollywood's the only place that I can think of where it hasn't. But anyway, sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Well, no, and like Berta Praise, they're a minority in the boardroom. That's only because, not that as many women. First of all, it's statistically proven that women are not as interested in power jobs as men are. Right? Women don't necessarily want to be executives. Now, there are some women that do, but not as many women want to be executives as men. Not as many women want to be firefighters as men. Not as many women want to be scientists as men. Now, that is not. No
matter that, you have what percentage would you just pull out of your ass, out of the air? Would you think that how many percentage of women just in general would rather just stay home and raise a family anyway?
Oh, probably I would say 75% of those that are actually mothers would.
But I mean, there's probably a good percentage that actually choose that life, and that's where I'm saying there's a big chunk.
Well, here's the thing:
the workforce gone.
When I was married, I got a lot of crap because I chose to stay home, even though I didn't have children. Now, because my ex-husband made enough money for us to do so, and it's a real stigma if you choose to stay home as a woman.
My wife, when we were pregnant with her first, we were in this little class of the pregnancy class where you're sitting around with all the other pregnant women and learning how to breathe and crap like that. And they were sitting there talking about, oh, what are you going to do after you have the baby? And they're like, oh, in 6 weeks I'm going back to the office or whatever. And then they get to my wife, she goes, well, I'm staying home with the kid. And they were looking at her like, what's wrong with you? Like they don't understand that, wow, that could actually be a very rewarding way to live. You don't have to, but the thing is this feminist agenda brainwashes women into thinking that if they don't have a job, they're worthless. If they don't have a career, they're worthless. If they are not a man, they are worthless. And if they depend on a man in any way, shape, or form, they are worthless.
They've made the word housewife into a dirty word.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm sorry, but that is, so freaking wrong. It makes me just want to scream and punch somebody in the face, because it's like, why do you think we're having all these problems with kids today? Do you think it's just a coincidence that we have fewer and fewer parents at home and our kids are getting worse and worse and worse? The suicide rate is up. The crime rate is up. All these problems with our youth, and the fact that they're not being parented is not a coincidence.
Oh yeah, this whole COPPA thing's a big side effect.
Oh, we need the freaking government to parent our kids. No, how about you just take the computer away? How about you regulate what kids do?
I was going to say this. I am not your child's babysitter. If you put them in front of my YouTube channel and I get smacked with a fine, I'm suing the parents and YouTube, because it's not my job to raise somebody else's child. Where's my reward for being responsible enough to not shit out a kid?
Yeah. Rosetta Allen gave us $2, and this goes with this conversation. I get crap as a stay-at-home wife, and I'm disabled. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. They made the words housewife into dirty words. Like it's almost like it used to be a very noble thing to be either a housewife or a mother. It's a lot of fucking work. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job. But nowadays they treat it like it's a bad thing, and it's like, I don't get that. I mean, my mom was a stay-at-home mom until I was 5, and that was just because the economy changed and she could no longer afford to stay home. I mean, my brother was only like a year old. She would have rather stayed home and with us, but no, she couldn't. She couldn't afford it at that point. But anyway, Nelson Sharita, $5. Phasma should have crushed Finn in SWFA, and Kylo easily beat Rey. That would have set up tension and drama. Does anyone see Kylo as a threat to Rey? No, nobody does. That's one of the biggest problems, and that was one of the big things I remember everybody bitched about in The Force Awakens, was when that one stormtrooper's like, "Hey," because there's no setup for that. See, and I think in the original script, that was the other stormtrooper that was giving him shit. See, that was another thing that was left out. And that's a problem when you don't set up your characters correctly. When you think, it's moving slow, we can just take it out. No, maybe it has something important in it. But anyway,
I really don't think the biggest flaw with The Force Awakens was the fact that Rey won that fight. I could forgive pretty much everything else that's wrong with that movie, but the fact that Rey won that fight destroyed any sense that there was any tension whatsoever in this universe. Because imagine if in 1977 we go to see Star Wars, and after Darth Vader kills Obi-Wan, Luke runs over, grabs Obi-Wan's lightsaber, and beats the crap out of Vader.
Right? I was just going to say, remember, I love it when people are like, oh, she's no more of a Mary Sue than Luke was. It's like, Luke didn't even use a fucking lightsaber in the first movie, bitch.
Yeah. And then in the second movie, he had his ass handed to him by Vader.
Yeah.
And Vader was toying with him the whole time.
And Yoda kept telling him, don't go, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Now screwed we all are, but yeah, it was, but that's what builds the tension, because in the first movie, Luke was hopeless. In the second movie, Luke was outclassed. So when the third movie rolls around and you see Luke and Vader getting ready to face off, besides the fact that Vader is physically twice Mark Hamill's size, you're sitting there thinking, there is no way in hell Luke can beat this guy, and he's got the Emperor there.
And I think the only reason Luke won that fight was for various reasons. And I've analyzed that fight many, many times, and I have a lot of things I've gone into it. And I mean, there's things that Lucas wasn't even thinking about when I think he staged that fight. Because I've said it before. First of all, that fight would have ended and Vader would have got his way had he just let Luke strike down the Emperor in the first place. So there's already a conflict there to where it's like he's obviously saving his son from going to the dark side from the start of the fight. But at the same time, he's distracted. He's got the Empire in his head. He's got Luke in his head. He's got guilt all over him. So yeah, it wasn't Vader in his top form. Now, if it was Vader in his top form, that fight probably would have lasted not even 5 minutes.
Right.
And Luke would have been dead. So, And it says DCB Titan with a $2 super chat. Luke didn't even use force power until the Empire. Exactly. He didn't really know what he was doing at first. So it was like, it wasn't even until like Empire. He was still learning at the end of Empire and Jedi. He was pretty much a Jedi, but he was nowhere near the level I would say the Jedi are in the prequels. I mean, that was one thing George kind of got right, was to show us that, these were the Jedi in their prime. These were the best of the best, et cetera, et cetera.
And that's why we needed to see Luke at that level coming back to him in Force Awakens. We needed to see him lifting his little X-Wing out of the water. We needed something to show he had grown even more.
And I need to address something real quick. I know this is kind of weird, but it's something that people bring up all the time. Captain Hare in the chat was saying that Luke used the Force in the trench run. No, he did not. If you look at the computer simulation before they actually attacked the Death Star, that is exactly what they were expecting the torpedoes to do. They didn't just magically change direction because of the Force. They changed direction because they were guided torpedoes. And that was I
think what Captain Hare's talking about is when, Obi-Wan was talking to him.
Well, Obi-Wan was encouraging him
or whatever. But I think, it was more of a calming effect than it was. Because that's the thing, is Luke was confident to begin with. He's like, I used to do this all the time at home.
Right. And to Luke, it was not a big deal to shoot a 2-meter target. And I'm sure on his T-16, he didn't have a fancy targeting computer, which is exactly why Obi-Wan told him to just let go and use the Force.
Yeah, it was to let go of the technology and trust your instincts kind of thing. Or so. I mean, but yeah, you could argue, but even still, he's still at that point where he's in tune with the Force, to where that little bit of him using the Force was like the most he used the Force in that movie, even if you want to accept that argument. Because other than that, he really didn't use the Force.
Right. And he didn't use the Force to consciously manipulate anything as much as to just, okay, let me hit this target, But it wasn't like he was using the Force to move the torpedoes around or anything. He just used
I don't think that was the case either. But I mean, if you want to argue, that is pretty much the only time Luke uses the Force.
Right. But as far as using Force powers, that's what I'm about. Like in Empire is the first time we see Luke use any kind of Force abilities. Like you see him Force jump in the fight with Vader, and of course he does levitate and stuff with Yoda.
Right. The DCB Titan sends us another Canadian $5. Thank you so much. X needing to be saved by Rose. Is there more embarrassing title than that you could give to something? Well, I brought this up. I don't remember which podcast it was on now, but I brought up the fact that, John Boyega's character, he goes from having a great arc in the first movie, as bad as it was done, because at least by the time we get to the second movie, we're interested in seeing where this character goes. Mm-hmm. And what do? They turn him into a fucking traitor again. And basically he has to be saved by Rose and made a better man by Rose.
Right. And he's like, a coward.
Fucking insulting.
So yeah, just let him be a man already. I mean, we want to root for these characters. You can't make every character in your thing, just especially every male character, right? You cannot make every male character a bumbling idiot, because guess what, Disney? With Finn, we can turn around and call you a bunch of racists then for giving him, the stereotypical janitor job and making him into a bumbling idiot. It goes both ways, you dummies.
Well, and the thing is, it's like Finn, now that we're going into the third of this trilogy, Finn should be coming into this as a general. He is the leader of their military because he's the person who knows the First Order tactics and equipment and all that. So Finn should be the badass general of the Resistance, where Rey is the Jedi Knight, and Poe is the hotshot pilot, right? And that would be the new Trinity, and that could work. But instead, they just want to make it all about Rey for whatever reason.
Because she's the girl, and they're trying to get this girl audience because they think that's who Star Wars is for. They don't understand that Star Wars is not Divergent and Twilight and these teen things. Star Wars was bigger than that. Well, Star Wars was for everybody of all ages, all walks of life, all ethnic backgrounds, all countries. And when you're just so focused on getting these little teenage girl crowd to come to your movie, you are just completely crapping on all the rest of us.
Oh yeah.
Not only that,
I know I'm a lot older than you guys, but when back in the 70s and 80s, when Star Wars was just becoming popular, the girls loved Star Wars too. You know why? Because A, Princess Leia was a badass. B, Han Solo was freaking hot. And C, well, if you didn't care for Han, you'd go for Luke. You know, and that was it.
And if you're a kid, you could go and look at the Ewoks and Yoda being funny.
Right. And then for the guys, it's like, you either wanted to be a Jedi Knight or a smuggler, you know? But now it's like, oh, we just got to make it all about girl power. And it's like, it was never about girl power. It's about good and evil, not gender.
They're focusing a lot on the girl power as well, because the girls buy the cosplay stuff. You know, they'll go to Target, or they'll go on Amazon and get a $30 costume and $30 UGG boots, and that's their Rey costume. It's easy, it's quick. They can go to their little convention, have a drink, and then go on to the next one and feel like they're included in something, because they have no personality or goddamn individuality. Look at these girls. Diversity. Yay.
Well, that's the thing. And they already forgotten how Leia was a strong woman to begin with. Let me say this all the time, but no, seriously. I mean,
she was amazing.
Even Han Solo expects her to be this prissy princess.
Right, Han Solo was a straight up sexist, and Leia put him in his place.
Exactly. And that's all you needed. You didn't need a whole fucking movie surrounding that. You needed one fucking scene for her to put him in his place. And from that moment on, he's just like, fuck her.
And I'm sorry, as a guy back then, I remember one of my favorite lines from the original film when I first saw it was, would somebody please get this giant walking carpet out of my way?
Right.
She was a badass from the moment we met her.
She's like, don't fuck with me. I got a job to do. I have a goal. And if you get in the way of my goal, I'm going to put you down. Yeah. And Padme was a very strong female character too. Right. You had her flat out tell Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn, fuck you, I'm coming with you. You know, it's like, I don't care what you say. You know, they kind of play the whole, well, you're this is no place for a woman and blah, blah, blah. You know, well, there you go. Another perfect example. Just all it took, one scene. You didn't need a whole movie surrounding it. We know from this one scene, Padme's a badass. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty. She's just like her daughter.
Well, and even like in Attack of the Clones.
Her daughter's just like her, I mean, but yeah.
I think about like when they're in the execution pit in Attack of the Clones, and Anakin is all worried about her, and Obi-Wan's like, I think she's okay, because she's great.
Well, yeah, and she would have been trained, and she was clearly a very strong-minded person at such a young age of power, et cetera, and that's a good character. She still had some flaws where, she's not supposed to really be fooling around with the Jedi, but she still does anyway, and, so it makes her more of a person, and I hate to use the word human, but these are kind of the human characters in the series, but they make them more relatable to people with, okay, she's a strong person, she's somebody to aspire to be, but she's also relatable and realistic.
By the way, I just got to say this because I don't know why, I just think it's funny. Is that you're looking at this picture of these girls dressed up as I assume the mirror thing from Last Jedi when they were in the Force butthole. But the darker skinned woman, the third one, is she flipping off the camera? Because that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, they're snapping.
They're doing the snap.
I know, but it doesn't look like.
I know, the wrong time. It's like, bitch, fuck all y'all. White.
See, and I love how none of these girls are. This is cosplay for the ugly girls. I hate to say that, but it's true because you've got your hot cosplay chicks that are paid to be there, your booth babes, and then you have your average everyday Target, Kmart, Amazon cosplay. And that's what these girls are. None of these girls are, attractive enough. Maybe this girl here, but, clearly she's got some daddy issues or something. There's something wrong with her. But all these girls are like the ugly girls who you wouldn't necessarily see in cosplay. And that's why they have Rey as a character. Because we need a boring... It's all about representation. Like Elizabeth Banks said, you want to see yourself on screen.
Oh, speaking of, we're not going to see much of Elizabeth Banks on screen. That's a perfect segue. Why not? I guess Elizabeth Banks is going to be making the Invisible Woman, so they want to make her disappear.
Yeah, Elizabeth Banks is becoming the Invisible Woman because of what's been going on with her and the freaking Charlie's Angels mess. And what's going to happen is she's going to say, if you don't like that movie, it's because you're a sexist. I mean, she should just come out and say it now. She did
before the movie came out, pretty much.
Yeah, we covered. But yeah, this is. I'm sure this deal was in the making before Charlie's Angels came out.
Oh yeah, people have been saying it's like been in the works for about 5 years, but great time to do it. How much did that lose? How much money? I mean, it's your money to throw away, Universal. Can't be any worse than what Kurtzman did to the Mummy.
No, this is I don't know if this is going to be connected to the Invisible Man movie coming out.
It's not. What they're doing is they're doing a bunch of they're going they see what the Joker did and they're like, "Ooh, let's do a bunch of little stories that aren't connected in any way."
I wonder though, does Marvel own a trademark on the name Invisible Woman?
Marvel? No, not like, I doubt it, because the Invisible Man and Invisible Woman movies I think came out, because wasn't there an Invisible Woman movie back in the day too?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I don't remember, but yeah, I don't care. You know,
I mean, I know Stan Lee owns as many as he can, that's for sure. But
yeah, but as far as like, first of all, Elizabeth Banks, you know what, Charlie's Angels was an abysmal failure. I guarantee you, Invisible Woman's going to be an abysmal failure. Because it's going to be just like Charlie's Angels, where you're going to try to market it as girl power, and that's not selling. You know, if you want to market to women, don't market man movies with boobs. That's not how to market to women. Men and women are not the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. But Hollywood doesn't understand that. They're so superficial that they literally think that the only way to make a blockbuster woman's movie is to make it a man's movie, but with a chick as the lead. And so it's going to suck.
Yeah, how much did Steel Magnolias make? A lot, right? For its time, those type of
yeah. I
mean, Louise.
Yeah, you make the proper movies that aimed at women. If they want to go see them, they will go see them. Just like we've pointed out a million times.
Mm-hmm. Bridesmaids, fucking Bridesmaids. That's a chick flick.
But women like men's movies in general too, for different reasons.
Yeah, for different reasons. You need a hot guy in the men's movies.
Why do you think Schwarzenegger was such a huge icon in the 80s?
Mm-hmm. Or Aquaman.
Or even Aquaman now. Yeah, Jason Momoa is kind of the same thing now. DCB Titan, another $2 from Canada. Hey, thank you so much. I'd rather see something interesting on screen. No shit, right? I mean, where's Captain Air $2? Where's my rep? Jabba wasn't in TFA or TLC. Okuwaki Chewbacca.
Well, you know, I finally feel like I got a little representation with Fat Thor in Endgame. So,
as much as people had a problem with that, I kind of dug that.
I didn't have a problem with Fat Thor because, you know, and because quite frankly, I thought that it was a good representation of think about what Thor went through in Infinity War and his guilt complex and everything by thinking he's the person that could have prevented it all. And he actually was the person who could have prevented it all. So I totally dug it. I thought it was a great arc for him.
Yep.
But, you know,
yeah, I was okay with it.
But the thing is that you see, and that's actually making because Thor, the most powerful character in the MCU up to that point, you strip him down and make him vulnerable. That makes him interesting. Whereas Captain Marvel shows up and she's just a win button, is boring. And that's what they don't understand. You know, they want to make women invincible because as soon as you put a scar on them, then all of a sudden they're afraid that people are going to think they're ugly or something, you know? And it's like, I'm sorry, but Captain Marvel would have been a whole lot more interesting if Thanos beat the crap out of her instead of her just showing up and being, I'm invincible, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Because he did thwack her out of the film though. That was kind of funny.
I did appreciate that, but the thing is that they had to make sure that they showed her overpower him first.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
And so then he had to desperately grab that power stone to send her flying. And I thought that was a cheap move, especially since, I mean, like when Scarlet Witch, when she grabbed Thanos and actually scared the crap out of Thanos to where he started shooting his own troops just to stop her. That was a great moment. That was showing Scarlet Witch unleashing the full potential of her power. And I was into that. But when Captain Marvel shows up, I'm just like, okay. Because it's like she shows up and nothing can hurt her and all that. And it's like, and that's the same problem we have with Rey, is that Rey is so OP that nobody, I mean, just because they brought back the Emperor doesn't mean that she's not going to kick his ass too.
It's like playing a video game, and instead of, working your way up and progressing through the levels, you start with a maxed out character.
Right.
And nobody wants to do that unless you're just trying for a speed run and you're going through to skip through any of the gameplay and just get to the end.
Should we call Ray Game Shark? I mean, she did download the course from Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Right. And Neil points out it's because Wanda actually had. Well, the thing is that Wanda, because to her that battle is just minutes after the fight in Infinity War. She just lost the love of her life.
That woman had back to back between her brother and that guy. So I mean, I like when she comes in and she, has a little bit, like you said, more passion in the situation. And I don't see why Captain Marvel should or shouldn't be any more powerful than her, because she's made from the stone. Captain Marvel's made from,
a different stone, but
different stone, but a similar situation where, it was just kind of weird. But and even she couldn't hold him for long. Remember?
Right. And
go ahead.
But and it's just so funny because like Captain Marvel, I understand that Marvel Studios was kind of forced to put Captain Marvel into there, but she's such a bad character because she's not a character. She's like Ray or Michael Burnham in Trek. She's just a win machine. You cannot let her lose because you cannot have her show any weakness whatsoever, and that's just pointless. That's the opposite of being a character. It's like, what's the old saying? People would say, you get the crap beat out of you, and they say, it adds character. Yeah, that's correct. You need to beat them down for them to be characters.
Well, and there goes to the show the difference between men and women. Men and women don't understand fighting usually, okay? Because most women will be like, you guys were just in a fight. Why are you friends all of a sudden? It's like, because we got in a fight.
Right.
But if I was in a fight with one of my friends, I wouldn't be talking to them. Yeah, because you're women. Because men know once one wins and kicks the other's ass, they're the winner. So the other one respects the other one from then on out. It's just basically
the one that won will respect the other one for putting up a good fight.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like a mutual respect thing, and then it's just from that moment on, the one who lost knows he was wrong. There, it's just nothing you can do about it. It's just a mutual thing. Maybe it's just down to our, our core of our, I don't know, instincts as men. But it's just like, I'm assuming that's how we lived in society before it was civilized, and we didn't kill each other all the time. Is because sooner or later, you get in an argument with another man, you kick the shit out of him, he'd respect you, you'd respect him, end of story. I guess that's how it worked out. It's the same thing, I'm sure, in like the animal kingdom with like, the wolf packs and all that kind of crap.
Well,
too.
That's it. The man that can kick the most ass is the alpha male, and the other
exactly,
men. But the thing is that if you want to have a character that's interesting, because like what made Wanda interesting, if you like Scarlet Witch and Captain Marvel, similar level of power. Both of them can kick some serious ass and have the power of an Infinity Stone race, coursing through their veins. So they're both very, very powerful characters. Wanda, like you said, her brother was killed in the first movie we saw her. Her love was killed in Infinity War. She was damaged goods, and you got what she cared about. You got that she was passionate about this, and that she would do anything to, prevent that kind of suffering from going on.
She wanted revenge,
and she wanted to kick Thanos' ass for doing it to her, and which was just that whole thing where like Thanos is like, I don't know you, and she's like, you will. That was like, oh damn, you were in the wrong place, Thanos. But that was awesome. Where but Captain Marvel, there's nothing earned about it. She just shows up and always wins. I mean, did she?
Nope.
She
had that montage when she was a little girl where some guy told her to stay down, or
you know what? The dumbest thing about that movie to me is that the fact that everybody kept telling her how she needed to control her emotions.
What emotions?
Yeah, exactly. Don't you have to show some kind of emotion in order to control them?
Oh, it's like,
not only that,
calm down, and you're just sitting. I'm just sitting here. What do you mean, calm down?
And not only that, what's his face is technically right. I mean, he's doing her a favor by teaching her, you're not always going to have your powers, so you need to learn how to fight without them. So even when she kicks his ass with her powers at the end, she's not really learning any lessons.
Right.
Because I can't wait till the day she loses her powers and she gets her ass handed to her. But of course, that won't happen in the Disney universe, you know.
No, because she's a girl, and girls need to be pandered to and told them that they're perfect and don't have to work for anything. And this is why I've always hated Disney. It's the same shit.
Because
Like,
I
they
said this
just
when the
give the
movie
wrong
came out.
message to women, and I hate it.
Right? Wouldn't it have meant more in that scene if she would have been like, you know what? I don't need my powers to kick your ass. And she just kicks his ass.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that have made more sense and been more fulfilling? No, instead you're just like, oh, she's just gonna blast his ass, and we're supposed to think, good for her. You know, it's like a big fucking jock picking on some mentally disabled kid.
Mm-hmm.
That's the equivalent of power there. That's what kids supposed to learn, huh? Real good lesson. DCV Titan, Canadian $2. Marvel was the win button until Thanos yeeted her. Oh, jeez. And then I thought there was another super chat here. Yeah, no, Sharita, $2. Comics the one with no weakness is the villain.
Yep. Yeah, in comics, the one character without any weaknesses tends to be the bad guy.
Well, that's the thing. You should always feel like the villain has the advantage. You know, you never, like in the original trilogy, you never felt like there was anybody more powerful than Vader until you saw the Emperor.
Yes.
And even then, he was more manipulative than he was powerful, probably. You know,
once the Emperor started letting loose with the lightning, you were like, oh crap, it went to another level.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He wasn't really a formidable.
Yeah, and then in the Marvel universe, there was nobody more powerful than Thanos, right? Except that then they had to ruin that with freaking Captain Marvel. But
I love what they did with his character in the movie. I know some, comic purists have issues with it, but I mean, come on.
No, Thanos
you sit there and have him kill half the universe for a piece of pussy. Seriously?
No, I was all for what they did with Thanos. Making him an eco-terrorist actually was brilliant.
Because I'm sorry, that was one thing. I'm like, if they do that, and that's really, folks, if you don't know what I'm talking about, he kills half the universe in the Infinity Story in the comics over a piece of pussy.
Yes,
literally. Yeah,
but a very special one, considering that it's Lady Death.
But that's the whole point. He's doing it to get laid. Come on, let's face it.
Right. But Thanos if you exclude Captain Marvel from the MCU, there was nobody else that you even thought for a second could go toe to toe with Thanos. Especially once he started getting Infinity Stones on his hands.
Well, I did until he got his head, or the stone ripped out of his head. Right. I thought at least Vision might have been able to go toe to toe with him.
See that was one thing. Well, like, I don't know, when Thanos manhandled the Hulk at the beginning of Infinity War,
different, though, because the thing is the Vision has a Infinity Stone too. Right. But then again, they made him a vulnerable character because which one was it where he zaps on accident? It was a Civil War.
Yeah, that was Civil War. He accidentally took down Rhodey.
And that's a great character moment.
Right, because you think, oh, he's a machine, he's perfect, and then you realize, no, he's flawed.
Yeah, because he even says, I let my emotions get the better of me, or something to that effect. I can't remember. It's been a while since I watched it.
And then Tony said, I didn't think that was possible, and he said, neither did I.
Yeah, which is a really cool character moment, because you're like realizing he's becoming more, emotional, and then of course he falls in love with, Scarlet Witch and all that shit too. Chris Persia, Canadian $5. The only good thing to look forward to in the MCU, Rogue putting Captain Marvel.
I will tell you, Chris, I really want them to do that. I truly do, because do you know that story, Tom?
Yes, yeah, that's why I laughed.
Yeah, I seriously think Captain Marvel 2 should finish with Captain Marvel. Like, you should make Rogue the villain of that film, and it should finish with their battle on the Golden Gate Bridge and Rogue killing her. That should be the end of it, and then that introduces us to our first major mutant character. And Rogue will become the new Captain Marvel.
I would rather have that. They do a decent Rogue, that is.
Yeah, that's assuming that they cast a good Rogue.
Right. Mega Jetty gives us $2. Thank you, sir. Captain Marvel written better in Far From Home. In my Far From Home. Oh, so like when you did, you mean? Your own fan version of it? Yeah, I hope they keep her out of anything. I haven't heard shit about her. We're getting an Ant-Man 3. Okay? And we ain't heard shit about Captain Marvel 2.
Exactly. Right. It's like they had to do whatever they could to get as big of a box office as they could, and whether it's hiring PR companies or whatever they're doing.
And none of that makes sense, because if that movie was really as successful as they're boasting, and as much money as they paid Brie Larson and her contract and all that bullshit, you would have thought that Captain Marvel 2 would have went in production 2 years ago, right after the first one.
Unless, and granted, this is a big if because we don't know, but is it possible that unlike the complete and utter morons over at Lucasfilm, maybe, just maybe, some of the people at Marvel are paying attention to the fan reactions? Maybe they realize that we don't want Captain Marvel, and that the only reason that Captain Marvel made a ton of money was because it was sandwiched in between the two biggest films of all time.
Yes. I always call it the biggest bait and switch in Marvel history. Right. We got another $2 from Jeffrey Turner. It is my How Far From Home Should Have Ended video. We'll have to check that out. But yeah, no, I think I completely agree with you. And the problem with that was they didn't make her character pay off for shit in Endgame, so it made the fuck you that much worse. And again, it makes me believe more and more as we go along a lot of the conspiracies that surround Captain Marvel, because why else wouldn't they have a Captain Marvel 2?
They were talking about a Joker 2 at 700 million.
Well, right, that's my point. Well, just not that fucking Ant-Man 2 didn't make no money, okay? No. Even that one being more connected probably to Endgame than frickin' Captain Marvel was, didn't make as much money, okay? But they are already going into production on Ant-Man 3. We've heard tons and tons of stories about it. I think it's even been confirmed. But nowhere have we heard shit about Captain Marvel 2. Not even a whisper about it. Have you? I haven't. I don't remember it being on that big screen thing in that presentation for Phase 4 and Phase 5, unless I forgot.
No, it was an afterthought that they said aloud. It wasn't. They didn't even have it written up or typed up. But it was
nothing set in stone yet. They knew more about Blade in that moment, because I was hearing all kinds of shit coming out about Blade from my sources. I didn't hear a damn word about Captain Marvel.
Well, this is the same thing whenever they get rid of like an actor playing something, or look at where's the next Han Solo movie. They just kind of ignore it. Oh, but he's signed on for 3 movies. People love to mention. I know. That's why we know that.
I know what you're saying, but I mean, I keep trying to remind people though, when it comes to contracts, rarely do the actors or a director have any power in any kind of contract. All a contract is means if we decide to make something and we want you involved in it, you are legally obligated to be.
Right.
It doesn't mean we're gonna make it. It doesn't even mean if we decide to make another movie, we have to put you in it. We can recast your ass if we want to. And generally that's that way, unless you're talking to somebody who's like a Will Smith or a Steven Spielberg. Do they ever have any kind of power in their contracts? I mean, ask Arnold Schwarzenegger how that shit works out, because I mean, he negotiated out of it because the Conan movies were going on a downward spiral, but he was at one time committed to 10 fucking Conan movies before he could do anything else. They had him locked down.
And Running Blade, I want to point out, Disney did not make Captain Marvel too powerful. Marvel made Captain Marvel. Marvel Comics. They've been doing that for years.
Yeah, this was a comic, because this was the new all new Marvel version of her, isn't it?
Yeah, whatever the hell they call it now. But they've been trying. And the funny thing is, it's been failing on the comic book side. You can talk to Nerdrotic about it. He's the real expert. But they've tried over and over and over to relaunch and rebrand Marvel Comics with Captain Marvel as their centerpiece. They tried to push Spider-Man aside. Spider-Man was always the centerpiece of Marvel. They push Spider-Man to the side. They make it all about Captain Marvel, and it flops over and over. They've relaunched her book, I don't remember, something like 5 times in the last 10 years.
Well, it's been more than that.
And yeah, and it's just ridiculous because they can't get anybody to buy her character because she's just invincible. She wins everything, and she fights the patriarchy now in the comic book. She literally fights the patriarchy in the comic books. It is ridiculously stupid, and nobody wants to read that crap.
My prediction is at the tail end of either Phase 5 or the beginning of Phase 6, we will get a Captain Marvel 2. But what will happen is it'll take place now, and it'll have what's her face, the kid, be all grown up and be the new Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. And she'll be just designated.
Well, yeah, they have her cast anyway, and they might sprinkle her in WandaVision, but I hope they give it to her. From what I've seen of her interview, she's And
then Bree's gonna play it off like, "Oh no, that was always the plan." That was always the plan, for me to hand off the torch.
Well, what they'll do is, they'll allow her to say, "Oh, well, I'm too big of a movie star for this. I have an Oscar."
But the thing is, Monica Rambeau, that's the character you're talking about. She was Captain Marvel long before Carol Danvers ever was. And one of the things that really, and I actually liked Monica Rambeau in the comic books. I do not have a single comic book except for Miss Marvel #1. I don't have a single comic book that features Carol Danvers other than that. But Monica Rambeau, I've got a bunch of her stuff. Like when she was heading up the Avengers and stuff, she was a badass and she was interesting. And and Bree is sitting here giving all of her identity politics BS all over the place. Meanwhile, she's literally shoving a black woman aside so that she can take the spotlight.
Mm-hmm. Not only a black character, but one that people actually like and wanted to see.
Right. Yeah, there were a lot of Marvel fans who were like, yeah, let's bring us some Monica Rambeau when they started hearing about Captain Marvel. And instead we get, Brie Larson.
Mm-hmm. Well, she did cause a lot of controversy, and they got to show their investors all the Parrot analytics. I don't think they anticipated the Fandom Menace also latching on to that like we all did Star Wars. But,
it's funny about Parrot analytics, to bring them up and just to show how hokey and bullshitty they are, and that or how bad fucking STD really is doing. When Mandalorian is doing like 297% better according to Parrot analytics bullshit. What does that tell you?
That Discovery am garbage?
Yeah. Oh, thank you again, Mega Jetty. $2. I hate the Patriots too. I don't need Captain Marvel.
And by the way, as far as the Eternals, first of all, I would say, I don't know if you saw the chat there. There was one of the gender and race bending in the Eternals. I'm still not even betting the Eternals really happens. Even though
it's already filming.
Oh yeah, it's already filming. Yeah, we've got footage.
I think it might be one of those movies that kind of disappears,
like New Mutants.
Yeah,
they might shove it on Disney Plus, but I don't see that. Yeah. This is something. The Immortals is one I think that Feige's been wanting to do for a while. But this
is the stuff that nobody cares about. That's the problem. I think Marvel.
I know. I normally would be like, you're right, but look at what Feige did with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
True. Now, I'll be more than willing to eat crow. If they put out a trailer that's mind-blowing, I'll be more than happy to eat crow on it. But
now, saying that, though, from what I've seen come out of the movie, I don't have much confidence in it, but I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt until I actually see it.
But yeah,
that much.
But am I excited about I don't give a crap about the Eternals. As far as gender and race bending, I don't know. I don't care about the Eternals. I've never read the Eternals. I never gave a crap about them. But if it's good, it's good. The
problem with doing it in the Marvel universe is probably one of the most diverse comic book universals there ever was.
Yeah, there's no need.
DC's awfully white. There, I'll understand where they have to kind of probably maneuver around here and there and maybe make some lesser known characters or other things like that. This thing with Superman being black, I don't know if that's going to happen, but you never know with JJ. But, I don't have a problem with it if they do. I've been one of the few people who said that. I don't have an issue with it as long as it's done well.
Right.
My problem is when they do it just to stand on it and go, hey, look what we did.
Well, and here's the thing. There are characters where their race or their gender is a part of their character, right?
That's a big deal when you're like, especially like characters like Black Panther, for instance.
Right. You cannot change Black Panther. Mm-hmm. Now, if you can, but it would be really, really stupid. And other characters like Superman, his look has been iconic since the freaking 30s. So you don't mess with, like it'd be like, it's not just always a white man. No, cast Superman as a blonde and watch me punch you in the face. Because I'm sorry, that's stupid. Give Superman brown eyes, punch you in the face. Superman is supposed to look like freaking Superman. Captain America is supposed to look like Captain America.
I get that to a point. Now, Superman, I'll argue simply because of the fact that A, he's an alien, and B, he's adopted. You have some leeway. And we've already had Dean Cain, who is half Japanese American or whatever, to where we already technically have had a mixed race Superman.
Right.
So that.
But I still think though that the look of Superman is iconic and has been.
I'm not going to argue with that part of it, but.
And if you're changing it because you got an incredible actor that just blows you away, fine. But if you cast the person because of their race, then I got a problem. You know, like when they decided to do Michael B. Jordan, who's a great actor, but when they cast Michael B. Jordan as the Human Torch, I knew the Fantastic
That
Four.
was that was just publicity stunt.
Right. And but the thing is that here's what pissed me off about it. It didn't piss me off that they cast a black Human Torch. What pissed me off was that they had a black Human Torch and a white Sue Storm.
Yeah, and I've already said my reasons why I think that happened.
Well,
at that point, Hollywood said that the Bible Belt still wasn't ready for a mixed race couple on screen.
Which is a load of crap. How many mixed race couples have been in the freaking movies? I'm sorry.
No big deal. And if they made that movie now, they probably would have made Sue Storm black as well.
Four Stick was just a few years ago, wasn't that long ago. It's not.
I know, it was before a lot of this SJW push. It was just on the cusp of it. So I feel like at that point, that's the only reason why, other than to just make it a big deal so you get tons and tons of stories written about it. Because otherwise, what excuse is there not to make Sue Storm black as well? Why not just make her and him black, and that's all there is to it?
The funniest thing about that whole thing, though, the way they cast it to me. Now, I was mad because it's like, you know, because here's the thing: being biological brother and sister is a deeply rooted part of the Invisible Girl and the Human Torch. That is a part of their character, which you're crapping on just because you want to cast one black and one white. But then when we saw the movie, Mrs. Anti-Checker, because you know she's black, and she was like, "Oh, so you're telling me that a black family adopted a white girl?" And because you know the dad is black, and she was just, and they said that she was adopted, and Mrs. Anti-Checker was just like laughing her butt off at that.
Which is okay, because here's the other thing that supports my theory. Because if they did this now and they still had them white and black as brother and sister, it would have been the other way around. So there would have been a white couple adopting a black kid, so they could.
Mm-hmm. Because all black people need saving by white people, according to Hollywood.
Exactly. See, that's how they do it now. See, that's another reason why I know that was a thing. Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega Jetty, once again, thank you so much. $2. Black Panther 2 needs to do more Wakanda versus Latveria. I've been hearing some rumors about that. That Dr. Doom may play a big part.
I would really like to see. In fact, I did a little thing like this was like a year ago on my channel where I talked about what I would like to see them do is have Sokovia reform into Latveria. And so that way, basically, because of the decimation of Sokovia from Ultron, they're falling apart at the seams. We already saw from Civil War that, you know, they have people doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And so you have this young guy, Victor Von Doom, that takes over the place and renames it Latveria. And I think that would be a great way to introduce Doom into the Marvel Universe without having to say, oh, yeah, we've just been ignoring the supervillain for the last 20 years.
Well, and I've said he's got to be your next big baddie.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I mean, who can compete with Thanos?
Dr. Doom is the greatest comic book villain of all time, period. And
pretty much. I have a hard time arguing with that outside of, you know, an honorable mention to the Joker, but yeah.
The Dr. Doom is the consummate villain, and the thing is, what's amazing to me is Dr. Doom has appeared in more movies than most villains in movies, and they have not been able to figure out how to make him right. And all you got to do is look at him in the comic books. You don't need to reinvent Dr. Doom.
Well, that Corman movie got him pretty close, actually.
Well, the Corman one was the closest, but you know that was a really bad movie.
Well, that's because they never finished it either. He was supposed to have a different voice and shit.
Yeah.
They just never finished the movie. A couple more super chats. Matt G, $2. MCU still exists in 2035 or no? Oh, yeah. Even if it's reinvented by then, it'll still exist.
And the nice thing about it is that, yeah, they at this point, they can do whatever they want and just say, oh, yeah, new alternate universe. And now everybody's young again. So if they
want. Well, and Marvel... I know, I get it. A lot of people dislike Captain Marvel, and I'm one of them. It is single-handedly, in my opinion, the worst film in the Marvel universe.
Right.
But they've had one really big hiccup. No matter how you feel about Iron Man 3 or Thor 2 or Avengers 2, those movies didn't kill the Marvel universe then, so it's going to take a hell of a lot more than Captain Marvel to kill it now.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, to the question about Galactus, I don't see Galactus as a big bad like an over a multiple phase like we saw with Thanos. Galactus is an event, right? Galactus shows up and everybody has to fight him, right? That's Galactus. However, Galactus is not going to plot to destroy the world. We're not going to have 17 movies leading up to Galactus showing up.
I think they'll bring Galactus in Guardians of the Galaxy, possibly, because I know that was one thing they wanted to do.
That would be a way to introduce Galactus before he shows up at Earth, would be to have him appear in the Guardians. So I think Galactus is going to show up after the Fantastic Four are established, because you've got to have the Fantastic Four if you're going to bring in Galactus. You've got to.
One way or another, yeah.
However, I think that if they do it smart, the next big bad that they're building behind the scenes will be Doom. And then the next massive event, the 10-year from now event, that'll be the equivalent of Infinity War and Endgame, would be exactly what Frakoff said, Secret Wars. And bring them all in. Bring in Galactus, bring in Doom, bring in Magneto, bring in all the villains, and bring in all the heroes, and even resurrect a couple of dead ones, because the Beyonder can do that kind of crap. And it would be freaking awesome.
And we got another one from Chief Cook, $4.99. Thank you so much. Shazam, when he said, "Say my name, thy all Captain Marvel, bitch." That would... I liked Shazam.
I actually did that. I think that was.
I enjoyed it.
And that's funny, because when he said, "Say my name," and they all said, "Billy," I just busted up laughing. He goes, no, say the name I say to turn into this.
We got some news from Mecca. She brought it to our attention. Star Wars. Oscar Isaac says he felt more creative control on the Rise of Skywalker. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed.
Well, we knew that they were improving like a year ago. Was it last summer or this past summer or the one before it?
They'll never do improv like the originals. With a franchise as precious as the likes of Star Wars, it would be easy to imagine a world where a vice grip is placed on the creatives attached to the films, especially with a film that has a lot riding on it, like the end of the Skywalker saga. One would be surprised to learn that isn't the case at all. Production on these blockbusters has plenty of levity while filming, and we already seen that with the Yo Mama jokes. Remember when Star Wars jokes used to actually be funny? I can name some very funny moments right off the top of my head in the original Star Wars trilogy, and you would laugh just remembering them. Like when Han Solo's talking with the guy on the thing, and he's like, "Everything's fine here. We got it all under control. How are you?" And then he shoots it, and it's a boring conversation anyway. Everybody laughs at that, right? It's funny. Like when 3PO thinks that everybody's dying and it's all their fault. Everybody thinks that's funny, right? Yoda, the whole beginning of Yoda, fucking hilarious. You got Frank Oz.
Yoda was great.
That's thick. And I guarantee you, Oz came up with a bunch of that. I know it for a fact. I get it because it has the Muppets written all over it.
And that's why I love Yoda so much, because he was such a Muppet. I mean, it was funny because I was a little girl at the time. I didn't care about the love story or the guys in the thing as much as a kid. Now, keep in mind, I was really little kid. My first loves were like Yoda and then Ewoks and that type of stuff. That was like the big draw when I was really little. Girl. Yeah.
I want a lightsaber.
I forgot one of the super chats here. Nikki D. They're just waiting for Thor 4 to release in order to introduce Captain Marvel as the leader of the potential A-Force movie. I don't know if I'd put that much.
I don't think they're going to go for it, because you know what? Again, I don't think that Marvel is as stupid as the people at Lucasfilm, and I think that Kevin Feige knows full well that the fans thought that the all-girl moment in Endgame was the most cringeworthy scene in all of Marvel.
And he can't argue because nobody said anything about the all-girl moment in Infinity War, because that one was more natural.
That one was organic.
Yeah.
The all-girl moment, though, in Endgame was like, hey, everybody, look at all the girls.
My first question is how the fuck they all get in the same place at once.
Right.
Because it
made no sense. Most of them had never met before, too.
Right. Having Scarlet Witch, Okoye, and Black Widow on the battlefield at the same time, I buy that. But having 25 people show up, including one of them who is a part to everybody else, their enemy, because Gamora, hello, they all thought she was with Thanos, and that she's on their side. Come on. And same thing with Nebula. And it's like all of a sudden, all these girls, and she's not alone. Oh, I hate that scene. But
Jeffrey Turner gave us another $2. He said Dr. Doom was Darth Vader before Darth Vader. Well, yeah, he did inspire Darth Vader quite a bit. But anyway, continue, Mike.
So that was it. Someone said something in the chat. But Mr. Miles was saying if who has the rights over Bombastic Bagman? Marvel, I think actually Sony technically would have Bombastic Bagman. Well, actually, that is a tough one. Do you know who Bombastic Bagman is?
Depends on where he was introduced.
He was introduced in Fantastic Four, but the guy under the mask is Peter Parker.
Okay, well then there's a gray area probably. There's a bunch of you could probably find the diagram out there. There's a diagram or whatever that somebody did that has like all the characters from the main big characters in the Spider-Man universe and the ones that Marvel shares.
Right.
They got one of those overlapping bubble graph things or whatever you call them. I can't think of the name of them.
Right, but do you know who Bombastic Bagman is?
Not offhand, no. Bob would probably.
It's actually not really a character, and so I would say that it's not really a character.
Well, I guess it's when Spider-Man was trying to do something he didn't have a costume to change into.
Right, when Reed Richards figured out that the black costume was a symbiote, they took it off of him, but he needed to hide his face, so they gave him an old Fantastic Four costume. So he was wearing a blue jumpsuit, and then put a paper bag over his head, so that he could web swing home.
I was gonna say, hasn't he done stuff like that a couple times? And that's where the whole the monkey thing in the last
Night Monkey, that was great.
Night Monkey,
Night Monkey, save us! I wanted to see. I was thinking, you know what? With this whole crap with Sony, they should just make a Night Monkey movie.
A lot of people said that. I've even seen some fake posters that people Night Monkey. It's not Peter Parker or something like that. Starting with
you could do it. You could have some European kid was inspired and became Night Monkey because of what happened.
But yeah, if he's Peter Parker, then chances are that's under the Sony umbrella. I would have to imagine.
Yeah, that
yes.
Night Monkey versus Bombastic Bagman, the movie.
Oh, good Lord. Anyway, back to this. Oscar Isaac said they gave him a freer, Abrams gave him a freer working style on the new film. Oh, goody. There's a lot more scenes where we're shot in one take shots, which means there wasn't, okay, now we shoot your close up and now we shoot my close up. What that meant was that he was giving up a bit of control, because when you do it that way, you can very much control people's performance. What is with the way that, or I'm just dyslexic tonight? But when you do these long takes, people are talking over each other and you can't cut around stuff. No wonder the movie's 3.5 hours long. So I think, or why I had to reshoot it 6 times. Oh man. Just what they needed. More improvisation in these movies. What do you guys think? Is good or bad thing? I'm saying bad.
Looking at those trailers, I'm going to say really bad.
Oh God, yeah. We didn't even talk about
cringe.
Where and then we had the newer one where Rey uses the Force against the stormtroopers.
No, she doesn't. She uses a blaster. She forgets she has the Force.
A mind trick, and she's like, it's okay for us to be here.
The new one I shared with you, Mecca, and the new one has a new scene in it.
Oh, they got a new one? Because they're still filming the fucking thing, right?
We do belong here, and there's 2 stormtroopers. They look at each other and they're like, they belong here. Yeah.
And then Poe's like, did you do that to us?
Let me find it. I don't think I saw it yet.
So another womp scene. Exactly. Yes. That's exactly what I was thinking too when I saw it. I'm like, oh my God, is that what this whole movie is going to be? Is one big fucking joke?
That's what the trilogy's been.
Well, I get that, but no, like literally there's just going to be wall-to-wall fucking wisecracks and improv jokes. I mean, the few that are in the other Star Wars movies, that was my point I was making, was they fit the scene. They fit that moment. Get down there. I don't care what you smell. What it's funny because in the moment.
These
are just references.
Sex game. Thank you.
I know, I love that. Have you ever seen that? I see like 200 lines
in that thing. You're braver than I thought.
No, these
I
are
didn't
just
play it,
references.
but I seen a thing once where it had the 200 lines in Star Wars that could be considered sexual or something like that.
Yeah, you came in that thing is my favorite.
Go and just impacted on the surface.
Now let's blow this thing.
Yeah, so we can go home.
Oh man, yeah.
No, that's all these movies are. They're, hey, here, remember this? They're all references to things. It's all crap that what you could get by watching The Big Bang Theory and never seeing Star Wars, like the Jedi mind tricks. These aren't the droid you're looking for. Oh, but Rey has to say that. It's the same crap they're doing in Star Trek. It's all member berries.
Oh yeah, well, and that's what turned me off at the first about the Mandalorian was in that first few minutes we get a bunch of member berries and then he kills a bunch of people. I'm like, oh, this is different, So it's like kind of like weighing, like, oh, we got a gonk droid and we get the Ichigo thing, and it's like, oh, come on now, do we really need all these member berries? And then it shifted gears, so I was happy. But anyway, no, this is just I think Andre's right. I think we can just hope for the best on this, and that it's so fucking bad.
Oh my God, they left her jumping over the TIE fighter again. Why wouldn't you take that out?
One of the members did I think it was either like I don't know if it was Data Racer or Ichibaka or one of those guys did the meme where she's jumping from the ship to ship and they put a shark underneath her. And then they had another one with the stormtrooper flying thing or whatever, and there's a shark underneath.
These look like commercials for video games, not a main movie.
I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck are they doing? This is just insane.
Oh, come on, they have space horses.
That's what
did you see before. My favorite thing is that like the stormtroopers are on these motorcycles, not speeders, but freaking motorcycles that have hydraulics in the back to shoot the other guy up into the air.
For what purpose?
To sell a toy?
Wearing a freaking jetpack. What do you need a catapult?
That has JJ written all over it. Because you know what? Yeah. Here's the thing with Lucas. He was full of this techie shit, and he loved coming up with things, and then he would see what his guys would come up with, and he'd be like, okay, well, this is this, and this is what this is for, and that's what that's for. He would come up with reasons whoops, sorry, Andy Trek. I thought that was you trying to share that. Yeah. He would come up with reasons for this shit to exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this picture is in this trailer. The guy underneath is riding the motorcycle, and then the motorcycle, the back end of it launches up, sending the other guy flying into the air. So that
this is something the toy company came up with. This is as bad as this is. Okay, this is like putting Superman on a fucking motorcycle. If you don't understand the irony in that, then you shouldn't be watching this fucking show. Okay, this is just fucking ridiculous. It's toy nonsense is all it is.
So tell me,
and they aren't even going to sell a toy because they don't even make them anymore. Because who the fuck buys them?
Have you not seen that toy in the stores, Annie Trekker? Superman on. Oh yeah, I remember. I remember everybody back in the day. Everybody like Spider-Man had a motorcycle, Captain America had a motorcycle. The
Spider-Man, Captain America makes sense because Captain America actually has a fucking motorcycle.
Right. But back then, everybody, it was the same motorcycle. It was just painted differently for the characters.
Exactly. It was just a cheap shit toy. I get that. But the thing is, the irony of it is Superman would never, ever, ever, ever use a fucking motorcycle. There's no reason for it.
Let's see if I can back this up a little bit. So, because I know, so you can see this in action here. All right. So let's see. There we go.
Much, yeah. You're better off showing the clip, but yeah, because the trailer is going to get us nailed. But
and then right there is Poe saying, so C-3PO goes, "They fly now," and then Finn goes, "They fly now," and then Poe goes, "They fly now."
Yes, the spider buggy. Spider-Man at least makes some sense because I love that joke where he's got to run in not Far From Home, Homecoming. And he's got to run across the field because he's got no place to spin his web to.
Right.
So sooner or later, at some point, yes, Spider-Man would have to use a vehicle, plausibly. But Superman, I don't buy it. Oh shit, Matt G, $2. GoFundMe for an episode 9 Riff Tracks in theaters.
That would be awesome.
What's sad is I heard speaking of Riff Tracks and their connection, I heard Mystery Science Theater 3000 didn't get picked up on Netflix.
Really?
Yeah.
Although honestly, it's the reboot was not as good as
Not that good.
I watched one episode and
I watched the whole 1.5 seasons that they've done, and some of them are actually not bad. It's just that the problem is that they don't let the jokes stew like they did on the old school Mystery Science Theater. Like, you know, if you watch one of those old Mystery Science Theaters, they'll tell a joke that'll have you laughing for like a couple of minutes, and then right when you're like going, okay, this movie is really sucking, then they'll tell another joke, you know, but they let you follow the movie enough to where you know what's going on in the movie. In this new one, it's like bam, 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 bam. There's like a joke every 15 seconds. And some of the jokes hit, some of them don't, but it's like they don't give you a chance to really experience the movie. It's just about their jokes. And I think that the difference is that the old school Mystery Science Theater, Joel and Mike and the bots genuinely loved the old crappy movies. In the new Mystery Science, they hate the movies. They just want to tell jokes.
Yeah, I think you're right. And a lot of it's rehashed stuff too. Like Patton Oswalt's stand-up is rehashed for
Patton Oswalt
convention exchange.
yeah. And so
I'm not a fan of Felicia Day either. She's just
is that the Forrester chick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like her. The Jonah was okay. I didn't like the new voices of the bots. And it's like these guys aren't dead. Why didn't you get Joel, Mike, and the rest of the guys to do this? I mean, I know
because
Joel,
Mike, Bill, and Kevin are doing riff tracks, and
yeah, but you know what?
Cinematic Titanic.
Here's the thing: Riff Tracks is fun, but I'll bet you they'd make more money if they were doing Mystery Science Theater again.
I don't know about that. It depends on how much. I mean, they're making on these because they tour around, don't they, Mecca? And
no, well, they do the live show that broadcasts everywhere, and then they sell their commentaries.
Right.
Oh, see, if they're broadcasting it, they're making all kinds of back end then.
Yeah, they do like Phantom events, but yeah, we've seen.
Yeah, they might make more doing that than they ever did the show.
We've seen them twice in Nashville now, and they come to Nashville pretty much 2 or 3 times every year.
Because I mean, I know like that's the thing with most musicians. It's like anymore, that's what they don't make any money on the records or the MP3s and shit. That's why they tour. It was always that way.
Right.
They always made their money on the tour.
And now they make commentaries on more modern movies like Star Wars: The Last Jedi and Force Awakens. So you get, and they're charging like $3 to $5 a commentary, plus then they have their other stuff like the public domain things that they can sell you. So you have all kinds of different ways to do their stuff. So yeah, it's pretty affordable, pretty reasonable. They have a shit ton out there. I like Riff Tracks quite a bit.
Yeah, well, and the Riff Tracks channel on Pluto is it's always fun. LK just put in the chat that Pluto has a 24/7 Riff Tracks channel. Yeah, they have it. It's funny because there's a Riff Tracks channel, and then the next channel in the lineup is their MST3K channel. And so you can when we're bored, put one of those on.
Oh yeah, it's tradition for me. Turkey Day Marathon, exactly. Techman Blade Turkey Day Marathon.
But yeah, and I met Joel once at a con, and this was before the new MST came out. He sounded like he was excited that MST was coming back, but he didn't sound like it was really coming back, and now I kind of understand why.
Yeah, this new one, it's not the same spirit of it. I mean, I don't see how the audience that they're going for, or I guess they're attracting, can really sit through an entire episode of that too, because I think, aren't they targeting a much younger audience than us old timers who will actually sit there and watch an entire Godzilla movie like from beginning to end without Riff Tracks or without Mystery Science Theater? That's the type of people who would watch Riff Tracks and Mystery Science Theater anyway, are the people who liked the B movies and liked watching all these movies, and you got a little bit extra stuff. And then there's some of us who are like, oh my god, can't they shut up, I want to actually watch this one. Kind of like how I got with Mothra. I'm like, yeah, but I'm just watching Mothra at this point.
I'm still really mad though that the Godzilla versus Megalon you can't get anywhere. That's my favorite.
Yeah, Well, I mean, you can get it, but yeah, that is my favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's on Jet Jaguar.
Yeah,
I think I have it. I got it on. I know I got it in that box set.
Well, yeah, you have it. You can get it in the box set, but on
I had it,
Theater, it was episode season 4, episode 10. I want to say.
Oh, you're talking about the
MST3K episode. Yeah, I'm assuming he was talking about that. You can't get that anymore because the rights shifted and they
I know. Shout did as many as they could in the first box sets, and then they did a bunch of the bits that they couldn't use the movies for on a couple other discs, like where they just put the bit parts. So they didn't.
Yeah, and then they were doing those through the fan club too for a while. I had a lot
as far as I know, the only way to get Godzilla versus Megalon is BitTorrent.
Now, but there was a way. If they did have, there is a physical disc that exists. It is long out of print, and it only ran like one printing of it. And I think that's
But here's the thing: I have 2 things about it. Number one, I saw that episode of MST3K when it aired, and it was hilarious. It was one of their best to me.
Oh yeah,
and but number 2, that movie is so special to me because Godzilla versus Megalon 1973 is the first movie I actually saw in theaters.
Let me see if I have an extra disc of that, because if that's one of the ones I have 2 of, I'll send you my other disc. But of that movie, I don't have the Mystery Science Theater version, but
yeah,
I got that Godzilla box set. Now, like I said, I know I have like half those movies already. I'll double check, and if it is one, I'll send it to you.
But yeah, the whole thing, like when they're like, "Oh, Godzilla, that's poor form. You don't ram a tree down their throat," and just.
They used to actually enjoy it. I mean, there's a reason why they did like 5 Gamera movies all in a row.
Right.
Like season 2 is pretty much all Gamera. So they actually genuinely enjoy those. And you're right with this. The new spirit of Mystery Science Theater, they just want to tell the jokes. They just want to cram as many jokes as possible. They don't understand that they're watching the movie as well. The movie
it take a long time for them to write these. I remember them saying one time in an interview, like they would go through the movie, they'd watch it first. Just watch.
Group watch, and it was usually like rewatches.
And rewatch it, and every time they would write down notes, and then they would kind of do like a dry run through and try all the different jokes. Then they'd make more notes on which ones works, which ones didn't. So it'd be a process where they would.
That's not how they did it for a lot of the thing. I think once they were more organized, what they did was they split up different segments.
But that's why I seen one time they were talking about.
Yeah, but they split up
hours and hours going through these movies and
they would give like a handoff the one writer. Okay, you have this 30 minutes.
Yeah, and I think one guy said that sometimes they'll have like 3 different jokes for everything, and then they'll pick the best one. That each have different jokes they'd have for each scene. They'd have different bits and stuff. But yeah,
although some of the best stuff they did was whenever they would make up a song.
Oh, the songs. Oh yeah.
Gamera is really neat. He is made of turtle meat.
God, I haven't seen some of those older ones in so long. Yeah, I watched only one. I was kind of let down by that new one. I just watched the first episode. I'm just kind of reached its peak with the movie. And just
yeah. Well, the movie was even. I mean, you had 2 more good seasons after the movie, though.
True.
For me, and maybe because I'm old, I don't know, but to me, Mystery Science Theater was always best with Joel. I mean, Mike Nelson was.
Me too.
Fun, but Joel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Joel was my favorite because like the Mike stuff, I kind of view it as sort of a different show. The Joel stuff with Trace, that was the best era. Like maybe season 3 and 4 were probably my favorite. And that was, of course, you had like Joel, Trace, you had TV's Frank, you had the core characters. It was before it moved over to the Sci-Fi Channel and became like this reoccurring. You had your TV series going on in the background, and then you had movies in between.
Anymore is when it went to Sci-Fi, because we didn't get Sci-Fi. We're at my area for a long time.
Oh, some of those are really, really freaking good. I mean, you have Space Mutiny out of that era. You have some.
I've seen them like down the road and like I remember seeing like certain like marathons and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Later.
I was watching them as they aired and recording them as they aired.
Yeah. I didn't even get to see a lot of them first run, except for the earlier seasons when they were still in syndication and shit. They want to know about this Flash news. It's been running around that Ezra Miller is moving forward with a Flash film eventually. It's the same shit we've been hearing for 3 years. But anyway, according to a recent report, I'm trying to see who they cite as a source. They got Variety, so we'll go to that one first and see who they cite. Let's see here. Sean Robbins of boxoffice.com. Okay, whoever he is. There's been chatter. Okay, so there's nothing really solid that I can see here. Yeah, reading through this, I have to look into it a little bit more, but it doesn't sound like there's anything real solid per se. There's some more talk about Green Lantern and Superman and R-rated films, so we'll probably get into that more later down the road. That's going to take a lot of time to probably discuss. I know there's going to be some shifting of things over at DC. I just don't know if I see him bringing Ezra Miller back. I don't know, Mecca, you don't really care, but what do you?
I personally, I mean, I'll say this. Now, Justice League was an abortion of a film. I think we can all agree on that. But I found Ezra's portrayal to be humorous. I enjoyed it, even though it didn't feel like The Flash to me.
It was Spider-Man 2.0.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, but it didn't quite match what, because I knew Barry Allen, at least the basics. I'm not a huge DC fanboy, but I understand Barry Allen's character, and that didn't feel like it. That being said, I don't think, I think that Justice League left such a bad taste in everybody's mouth that they just want to distance themselves from everything that has to do with, we'll call it phase one of DC. With the exception of Wonder Woman, they just want to distance themselves from everything.
Well, I think they spoke loads with Wonder Woman and Aquaman being brought back. And I'm sure we're going to get another Aquaman with Sons of Aquaman himself. And I'm sure, Gal Gadot is not going anywhere. Gal Gadot, however you say her name, is not going anywhere for Wonder Woman. She was fine in the part. Now, this new movie, as I've been hearing, part of the reason I think it's getting such bad test screenings is because I think it's a reboot. And people are not aware of that. I think that's kind of the misinterpretation. And that's what I've been hearing across the board is all this new shit, whether it has classic actors in it or not, is all reboots.
Well, they need to, as much as I like Gal Gadot, because she did fit the part. I'll say that. I think she was.
Yeah, I have no issues with her. I just didn't like the movie.
But I say reboot the universe. Don't, if you keep one character the same, it's going to throw people off. You should you just reboot the whole damn universe, starting with the Joker being the first movie in the new universe.
Well, they won't with Gal Gadot because her movie did well.
Right. And
everybody knew that everybody was on board with what's his ass as Aquaman. So when that movie did very well, they were like, oh, good God, Gertie.
Well, and people like Shazam. But the problem is that
Shazam didn't make money, but
yeah. But the people that saw it generally enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, I didn't get like horrible reviews or anything from my recollection, but
so I think that if they want to go with a lighter tone universe, they could move forward with the Shazam, Aquaman, Wonder Woman thing. If they want to do a serious universe, they move forward with the Joker, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, because Aquaman can go either way,
right?
And Wonder Woman could go either way. But
honestly, I didn't really care for Aquaman, but I understood why people liked it just because it wasn't a dour, dreary fucking movie from the DC universe, and it actually was kind of fun. To me, it was a bit overly long, and we've seen that movie already. It was called Black Panther. But anyway, I digress.
But, the funny thing is that Shazam really was how Superman should have been.
I agree. It didn't have to be that funny.
It didn't have to be, but the character needed to be that upbeat. He is the absolute optimist, and the only person that could be nearly as optimistic as Superman is Shazam. And why wouldn't they be? They can fly, they're super strong, they have all the power, and so if you took, and this, I know this sounds bizarre, but if you took Man of Steel, the world of Man of Steel, but you stuck that Shazam character in place of Superman, how much, the world would still feel dark, but you would have a character that was light and optimistic, and that's what they missed.
And that's what they needed. Well, and that's what goes back to what I've said before. That's what Donner got right with the 78 movie was he didn't change who Superman was. He just changed the world around him. And that's the whole point is you just plop this character into new surroundings because the character himself shouldn't change as long as he has a similar upbringing. as long as he stands for the same things. And that's what you're right. They were missing that world of wonder that they had in Shazam with Superman. You got a tiny taste of it when Superman was learning how to fly, and that was it.
Right. And don't be afraid of the phrase truth, justice, and the American way. It's not, you can say it. It's okay. That's what Superman is. And, you say, oh, that's corny. Yeah, so is a guy dressed up as the American flag, and Captain America became one of the most popular characters in cinema over the last decade.
Well, and see, Captain America got it right.
Right.
They understood the character. Chris Evans understood the character. And they knew you could still make this character relevant now. And that was part of the charm of that movie. And then the second one especially was the fact that you have this kind of fish out of water scenario now that this guy is,
right,
is very similar to what Superman would be like in a modern era. A guy who's kind of looked at kind of like as an ancient relic, but he's exactly what we need right now.
And it's like I remember in the first Avengers film, which was really our first time seeing Cap in the modern world. And the only thing he understood was when they said flying monkeys. And it took me a minute to realize that, oh yeah, Wizard of Oz was out when he was alive, and I thought that was brilliant that they actually threw that in there.
I understood that reference.
Yeah. and then like the scene where they're on the bridge of the helicarrier and Cap just reaches into his pocket and gives Nick Fury $10 because of their bet.
Yeah.
Because Cap would do that. Nick Fury was just making a joke. Oh yeah, $10 says you're wrong. And then, but Captain America, he's always as good as his word, so he's got to whip out that 10.
And those are great character moments that the Star Wars universe is missing. And one of the reasons why I won't disregard Kevin Feige in the Marvel universe just because of Captain Marvel. I can't believe that he would be that dumb to bank the Marvel unit. And I don't think he is, because otherwise I don't think it would have been a big a deal for them to lose Spider-Man. And not only that, why would you want to concentrate on Captain Marvel when you got the X-Men and Fantastic Four now? I mean, come on.
And they have real character, like the Fantastic Four. Man, there's some great stories there.
Well, not just that. The X-Men is just chock full of. You can make 3 trilogies just off of those characters alone, easily. And Fox just didn't know what to do with them. That was the problem.
Yeah, Fox,
and the cast kept getting increasingly more expensive.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with Fox Studios. They didn't know how to make a movie, period.
Well, the first 2 movies were okay. Just from that point on, it was all about the Benjamins, baby. And you had fucking, what's his ass, Tom Rothman, and yeah.
And Neil says Fantastic Four is my favorite superhero team. I'll tell you, Neil, I have every single issue of Fantastic Four, the comic books, from number 25 onwards. I wish I had the first 25, but they are very difficult to get in decent condition. But yeah, so the first one I have, and number 25 is not in the best of shape, but I do have number 25, Thing versus the Hulk. And I want to see that on screen so bad. Just have, the Hulk rampaging around New York because he got pissed off about something, and the Thing's got to try and put him in his place.
Makes sense.
Well, then Max Mercer says, Feige has a boss too, Tom. He'll do whatever they tell him. Here's the difference, though. Feige has had, and I said this in the chat, but this is true. If the sacrifice for us to get Perlmutter out of the way was Black Panther and Captain Marvel, I'll take it.
Yep.
Because Feige was a badass enough to get one of the most powerful, secretive men in the world, not just Hollywood, in the world, moved out of his road. Okay, like he no longer has to deal with this guy. And this guy was like, you talk about like deep state people and people who run shit from behind the scenes and shit with their money. Perlmutter's one of those guys.
And Darren's saying he wants the Thing to fight the real Hulk because Darren hates the Hulk that we've seen on screen.
I like the Hulk, and I don't even mind what they did to him in Endgame, but I understand.
Darren's a purist. He loves the Hulk comics, and that's all right. I
understand the purist point of view on a lot of these things. I totally get it. I mean, one of the reasons why I get that is we've never gotten a lot of the the golden or silver age versions of some of these characters to where they can actually say that, you know, they've never really gotten to see their comic book versions on screen, as opposed to where, you know, a lot of us can say, well, you know, you had Superman and Batman in the 50s and 60s on TV,
Right.
plus you had the movie in the 70s and 80s. So at least you can say there's been representations of those characters prior to the newer ones. Well, some of the Marvel characters did get some, but that first Captain Marvel movies were stupid. Even the 90s one was bad. But what's weird is how close that 90s one was to the comic.
Now,
I think
what about the rumor about a Hulk versus Wolverine movie from Mark Ruffalo? That'll never happen.
I heard some shit about that too, and some about Hugh Jackman would come back to do it or some shit, but I don't. There's some rumors that Hugh Jackman was talking to people at Marvel or something or other.
First of all, Hugh Jackman ain't Wolverine. He's Hugh Jackman. All right. So
right.
Wolverine is supposed to be about a foot shorter than Hugh Jackman. Just
that aside, this is what I think is going on, folks. If you want to, if this is my prediction, Hugh Jackman may make another appearance, but it's going to be in Deadpool 3.
Yeah, I could see that, but yeah, not in a canonical Marvel film. I think they at best, I think what we would get is a Hulk versus Wolverine as a scene in an Avengers movie. I don't think we're going to get a Hulk versus Wolverine film. First of all, there's not enough story there. If you've ever read that story from The Incredible Hulk, it's not that deep a story. Wolverine is an agent for the Canadian government and is sent to bring the Hulk in, and they fight. That's pretty much the story. Meanwhile, I can't remember if it's the Wendigo or whatever is in the woods that they got to fight. I don't think that would sell as a film in and of itself. But let's say that you have some crisis, Galactus is showing up or whatever, the MacGuffin is about to destroy the world, and we need the heavy lifters, so somebody needs to go get the Hulk. And they find out he's in Canada, so they call the Canadian government. Canadian government sends Weapon X to go get him. And Hulk is and when he shows up, hey, I need to bring you in, and Hulk says no, and then they fight. That's how you do it. But I don't want to see a Hulk versus Wolverine film. I don't think that that's a workable standalone film.
Yeah, I just don't think we're going to see. I mean, we'll see a new Wolverine in the new Marvel universe, one way or the other. So, but remember, Wolverine is not a freaking 6'4" Australian Greek god looking dude. He is supposed to look like Jack Nicholson back in the late 80s. That is Wolverine right there. How you doing tonight, bub?
Yeah.
All right, folks. Let's take this to the end of the road.
Limit.
Take it to the limit. We need a montage.
Take it to the back of the yard and put it to sleep, right? No.
Yeah, let's put it out of its misery, folks. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving tomorrow, wherever you're at, whether you celebrate it or not. What was that?
It's Thanksgiving tomorrow?
It is.
Oh, crap.
I know. We got an animation for that?
No, I don't have an animation for that. I just thought I'd show off the lovely Stormtrooper ejection seat again. I'm going to make a video with that. That's like... like
music
sound effects on it, so it's like boing. Is it?
Oh, good Lord. All right. I watched The Irishman this morning. Great movie. Long movie. Great movie, though. Not Scorsese's best.
I know. Rob and I saw Ford versus Ferrari. That was really good.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah, highly recommend it. If you like, it kind of has the same like From Earth to the Moon sort of feel, because it's all 60s and it's just a story about people, and none of these flashy special effects.
People.
Yeah. It's like a story with people in them instead of diversity hires and stunt casting and all that crap.
So Mecca, you cooking a turkey tomorrow?
No.
Turkey for me. Turkey for you. I'm going to go raid somebody's party somewhere, I'm sure.
No, it's all right. We're cooking a 38-pound bird tomorrow.
I'm going to be at home alone, so.
Like the movie. So yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll do something tomorrow. If I'm home. If not, we will see you guys again, maybe Friday, maybe this weekend. Who knows?
Maybe never. The world could end tomorrow.
You never know. You never know. With all the fights that are probably going to be happening tomorrow over political shit at the family table, I wouldn't be surprised. All right, folks. Let's put a wrap on it. Let's say hi, bye, good morning, good night, wherever you are. Annie Trekker, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at my YouTube channel, Anti-Trekker, because it's Anti-Trekker. But I don't hate Star Trek. I don't. I
just don't like trekking.
Yeah, I don't like ejector seat motorcycles for stormtroopers that make them fly.
I say that's bullshit. Yeah. I watch them on my show.
Well, you just wait. They're gonna have one on the Picard show just because they showed that. Picard will be launching Picard into the air. That'll be great. And yeah.
Can I get a little baby Green Goblin too?
Yes, you can have a little baby Green Goblin too. It'll be oh gosh, well we'll make it. It'll be Dr. McCoy at 200 years old.
Damn it, Jim!
It would look just like Baby Yoda, except without the ears quite being that shaped. There'll be human-shaped ears, and yeah, it'll just go, damn it, and that's
damn it, Jim! I'm not a Yoda. Well, damn it, Yoda! I'm not a Picard. I mean, I'm not a Jim. I'm a Picard. I fucked that joke up. Anyway. Oh man, I didn't get no sleep this week at all.
Me neither.
I even took a nap today, and that's probably my problem. Is I feel like Logie or whatever. It's like, oh,
you feel like
Logie? Buggies. They fly now. Oh, Annie Trekker, the 12K subman. That's right. Congratulations, Annie Trekker, and congratulations, Mecca, once again on hitting 50K.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Woot. Watch my videos.
Yes, you got people watching your videos. You need to watch my videos.
No, I have people subscribing, but they don't watch because YouTube buries me. I only survive on you guys in chat, so thank you so much. YouTube has been doing anything it can to try and get me off of the platform, and I am stubborn, and so are you, and I appreciate it.
All right. So anyway, I want to thank all you guys out there for listening. Sorry, I hit the wrong button there. I want to thank everybody once again for all the super chats. They mean so much to us here. Again, thank you, and have a happy holiday from all of us here at Midnight's Edge and Mecca Random and Annie Trekker and everything else. Stretch. So I don't have good enough. What is Annie Trekker showing now? The hell's that? Oh, your merch? Yeah, I think we're working on some merch too. So,
what is this about? You have 18 items under review. What does that even mean?
Who? What?
Huh?
Where?
So I created a merch store for my channel now that I'm over 10,000 subs, and so all the merch it says is under review.
Oh, they probably have to check it for copyright crap.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just my freaking turd avatar and various things. I really had fun putting my turd avatar all over ladies' leggings, by the way. I just got to say that was a special experience.
Right.
I'm particularly proud of the coffee cup that said, "You're a piece of crap and so am I." So.
All right, folks. What were you gonna say, Mecca?
Oh, might just say movies aren't mandatory because if you don't want to see Rise of Skywalker, you don't have to.
Yeah, no one says you have to. Mm-hmm. All right, folks. See you next time on Midnight's Edge After Dark.